Chapter 676. Xiaobai, this one needs you. Mo Chuan said in a deep voice. Of course he understood Chu Xiaobai's meaning, but he could not tell Chu Xiaobai what he was feeling. As the ruler of a country he had to consider many more things than Chu Xiaobai, and it was much more complicated. He could not be like Chu Xiaobai and do things that would disgrace the country and the royal family. Especially when the East Qing country was eyeing West Chu, he could not lose the hearts of the people. If he could not sit firmly as the emperor, it would give the East Qing country a chance and West Chu would become unstable again. Once war broke out, the citizens would lose their homes. Mo Chuan could not let any of this happen. There was a heavy burden on his shoulders and no one knew how heavy this burden was. He did not want to carry it, but he had to carry it because other than him, no one else could bear it. Although Chu Xiaobai's seniority was lower than his, he had always treated Chu Xiaobai like a brother. He was his left and right arm, he needed Chu Xiaobai's arms to support him. He had already lost his most beloved girl. If he lost his best brother, he did not know if he would have the strength to stand up and pass this crisis. He was a human, not a god. He also had times when he was weak and injured. His right hand was placed on Chu Xiaobai's shoulder. Chu Xiaobai's body slightly trembled as if he could feel the heavy burden. He straightened his shoulders and his eyes lit up. This minister will always stand by the emperor's side. His voice was firm and his eyes were even more firm. Mo Chuan nodded and patted his shoulder. He slowly said, "Someone go prepare for tonight's banquet. This one hopes to see King Ding Yuan and his princess at the banquet and also invite His Highness Na Mu to attend." He knew that winning today's competition was only the first hurdle. There were still 2 more rounds left and he believed that Na Mu Kuo would not give up so easily. He would definitely come up with more difficult and strange questions. The stone in Empress Dowager Zhou's heart finally fell down. She looked at Mo Chuan with a gratified expression. This son did not disappoint her. She had seen everything that had happened today. As a woman, she had always been very meticulous. In addition, after so many years in the palace, her eyes had become even more wise and penetrating. She had seen her son's disappointment turn into sadness and despair. She had seen her son's heart being hurt and bleeding. However, under such circumstances, he was still able to maintain the dignity and demeanor of a monarch. He was still able to maintain a calm mind, and was still able to deal with state affairs in an orderly manner. This was enough to show that he was becoming more and more mature, and had more and more of the forbearance, calmness and decisiveness that an emperor needed. As for her son's injuries, Empress Dowager Zhou believed that he would definitely recover in the future. Emperor Xiaobai. She was holding Su Jin's hand as she stood up and sat on the sedan. She had been thinking the entire way. Her son had grown up and he also had that thought. It was time for her to make plans for her son. As for the future empress of the West Chu country, she had to carefully consider it and choose a good girl with outstanding virtue. Empress Dowager Zhou decided that once the East Qin envoy matter was over and they left the capital city, she would immediately take care of this matter. Empress Dowager Zhou decided that once the East Qin envoy matter was over and they left the capital city, she would immediately take care of this matter. Chapter 677. Qinning did not know how long she had slept for and did not know that she had fallen into Chu Xiaoyang's embrace. She was just too tired, so tired that she wanted to die. Especially after that racking her brain in the competition, she had exhausted all her energy, so she fell into a deep sleep. Finally, she opened her eyes in a daze and found that it was pitch black in front of her. There were no stars or moon and her consciousness was still unclear. Her head was still buzzing with pain. Where am I? Am I dead? Am I in hell? Why is there no light? Her consciousness did not stay clear for long before she fell asleep again. When she woke up again, she found that there was still no light in front of her and she was in complete darkness. This time her consciousness was completely clear and she knew that she was not dead, she was still alive. But where was she? She could feel that she was lying on a soft and comfortable bed. Her body was covered with a quilt, and the silky material stuck to her delicate skin. It was smooth, soft and very comfortable. So the reason I can't see anything is because it is night and there is no light in the room, she thought in her heart. She knit her brows and thought of the last scene before she lost consciousness. She saw Chu Xiaobai's resolute figure and then she did not know anything else. Then was she brought back to the king's palace by Chu Xiaoyang? This was the flowing cloud pavilion? Chuntao, Xiaohi. She raised her voice and shouted. She did not like the dark, especially this kind of darkness where there was no light at all. She was used to having a candle lit by the bed even when she was asleep, releasing a faint yellow light. There was no response. Her shout echoed in the air and there was not a single sound around her. Chen Ning suddenly realized that something was wrong, because she could not hear anything. Although the flowing cloud pavilion was quiet, she would often hear the sound of the wind knocking on the window lattice at night. There would be crickets chirping outside the window and the night wind would bring a faint flower fragrance. Everything there was alive and the air was flowing. But she felt that there was a deathly aura around her. There was no wind, no flowing air, no crickets chirping and no flower fragrance. All she could smell was a heavy smell. She suddenly sat up on the bed and wanted to get off the bed. She suddenly heard a clear clanging sound, like the sound of metal striking against metal. Following that, her wrists were tightened and she was pulled back onto the bed by something. She was shocked and reached out to touch it. She found that there were actually 2 iron chains that were firmly tied around her wrists. She moved her feet and found that both of her ankles were also tied by iron chains. The chains weren't long or thick, but they were extremely sturdy. They bound her to the bed with her body spread out in all directions. She was filled with shock and anger. It was clear that she had been imprisoned by someone. "Is there anyone? Let me go. Chu Xiaoyang, was it you? Why did you lock me here? Chu Xiaoyang," she shouted through gritted teeth. Her voice echoed in the dark room again and again. She called until her voice was hoarse but no one answered her. Her throat was dry and painful and she could no longer make a sound. She tried her best to open her eyes in the dark, but she still could not see anything. She panted heavily, and her heart was filled with fear. The fear of losing her freedom made her feel despair from the bottom of her heart. Chapter 678. If it's not Chu Xiaoyang, then it's Namu Qiuo. It had to be one of the 2 of them. Chen Ning slowly calmed down and her brain recovered its ability to think. She quickly made a decision. She laid there without moving. Although she couldn't see anything, her eyes were wide open as she looked up. Her mind was quickly working. No matter who it was, she had to think of a way to get out of this situation. Suddenly, her ears twitched as she heard light footsteps coming from afar. Although the footsteps were very light and far away, this place was too quiet. It was so quiet that she could hear a pin drop on the ground. The footsteps became louder and louder, becoming clearer and clearer. The person walking seemed to be unsteady as they stumbled. Their footsteps were light and heavy. She couldn't help feeling suspicious. If it was Namu Qiuo or Chu Xiaoyang, they were both Qinggong experts and could walk silently, so how could she hear them? The footsteps stopped and then there was the sound of a key being opened, which was very clear in the darkness. Following this, she heard a heavy creaking sound as the door was slowly pushed open. A gust of damp air came in, carrying with it a rotten smell. "Go in." A clear voice rang out and then there was the sound of staggering footsteps rushing into the room. Hearing this familiar voice, Chen Ning's heart sunk. It was Chu Xiaoyang. Compared to Chu Xiaoyang, she would rather fall into Namu Qiuo's hands. She would rather be imprisoned by Namu Qiuo. This was because Chu Xiaoyang was a completely unpredictable person to her. She never would have dreamed that after sleeping for a bit, she would be tied to the bed like a prisoner when she woke up. She bit her lips and silently laid on the bed, not making a sound. Your Highness, what is this place? What can this old man see? Where is the patient?" An old voice trembled as it spoke. It was an unfamiliar voice. "Ka." A light sound, like the sound of a flaming knife striking a flint, was heard. Then a faint yellow flame lit up the room. After staying in the darkness for a long time, suddenly seeing light, Chen Ning felt it was a bit dazzling, so she closed her eyes. "Go treat her. If you can't treat her properly, this king will take your life." Chu Xiaoyang's voice was as cold as ice, penetrating into her bones. Although it wasn't directed at her, it still made her shiver. She opened her eyes and saw the tall figure of a man standing in front of the bed. There was a shadow covering her body, blocking the light. Although there was light behind him, she could still recognize him with a single glance. It really was Chu Xiaoyang. Although there was a light behind him, she was still able to recognize him. Chu Xiaoyang was holding a white-haired doctor in his hand. He brought him to the bed to check Chen Ning's pulse and suddenly found that she had opened her eyes. Her jet-black eyes were sparkling as she stared at him without blinking. He was instantly filled with joy and surprise. She didn't even know how long she had been unconscious. No matter how he called her or talked to her, she didn't respond at all. He almost thought that she was dead. But when he felt her pulse, listened to her heartbeat and took her breath, he found out that she was still alive, but she was still unconscious. He didn't even know if she was really asleep or if she was pretending to be asleep so that she wouldn't open her eyes to see him. Chapter 679. Chen Ning moved her lips. Her throat was very dry and painful, and because of all the shouting, her voice had become hoarse. She moistened her lips and said in a hoarse voice, Chu Xiaoyang, why did you tie me up? Are you treating me like a prisoner? Ning, I'm doing this for your own good. You're too tired, so you need a quiet place to recover. This place is very quiet and no one will disturb you. You can be assured that I will always be by your side. Chu Xiaoyang revealed a smile. His cold and handsome face became gentle because of this smile, looking very handsome under the dim candlelight. After he finished, he even thoughtfully covered her with the blanket. When he turned to face the doctor, the smile on his face immediately disappeared. Both his eyes and voice became cold and severe. This king wants you to take a look at her. Are you deaf? If you're deaf, then your ears are useless. The old doctor trembled in fear and quickly said, Your Highness, please calm down. This old man will take this girl's pulse. He had been muddle-headed into the king's palace and had been brought to this underground stone room by Chu Xiaoyang like a little chick. He had thought that he was going to take a look at an evil criminal, but who would have thought that the patient would be a beautiful young girl? Moreover, this young girl's attitude towards His Highness was very bad. Not only was His Highness not angry, he even gave her a pleasant smile. He unknowingly fell into a daze and began to guess the relationship between the two of them. After being reprimanded by Chu Xiaoyang, how could he dare keep looking? He immediately put down the medicine pillow and placed it under Qin Ning's wrist. When he was about to take her pulse, he suddenly found that her white as jade wrist was wrapped in a thick layer of gauze and there was a chain tied to it. He couldn't help being stunned. Why aren't you taking a look? Chu Xiaoyang coldly said. The doctor revealed an awkward expression. Reporting to Your Highness, this girl's wrist is injured and it's right above her pulse. This old man wants to take a look at this girl's injury first. What does Your Highness think? Quickly look. Chu Xiaoyang impatiently reprimanded. Don't look at how the doctor he had caught was the most famous doctor in the capital, but he did not look at the other side's medical skills at all. They were all people with false reputations. How could they compare to the doctors in the palace? However, he could not alert the imperial physician or else news of her would definitely be leaked. The doctor carefully took off the gauze on Qin Ning's wrist. Seeing the deep wound, he instantly took a cold breath. He couldn't help looking at Qin Ning's face a few more times. To have such a deep wound on her blood vessels, just how much blood did this girl lose? No wonder her body was so weak and her face was so pale. But suddenly he received a heavy slap on his face. The slap made him see stars and he couldn't tell north from south. Ning, this bastard. With a sound, chu 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 Qin Ning, Qin Shi. Qin Qin Shi Ning or Qin, chu he 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 he. Qin Ning couldn't take it anymore and said in a hoarse voice, Chu Xiaoyang, can you not hurt people anymore? Chu Xiaoyang gave a snort. Although he's old, his lust hasn't died. He actually dared to look at your face. Chapter 680. Oh, then this king has wrongly blamed him. Dr. Yi, stand up. This king has wrongly hit you. Continue to take her pulse. Chu Xiaoyang grabbed the old doctor's collar and lifted him up from the ground. He even kindly waved his sleeves to help him brush off the dirt on his body. This respectful attitude made Dr. Ye's heart tremble. He said in a flattered voice, This old one doesn't dare. If you cure her illness, this king will heavily reward you. Chu Xiaoyang actually spoke to him in an amiable manner. Dr. Yi did not even dare raise his head. He placed 3 fingers on Qin Ning's pulse and carefully felt it before taking his hand back. He carefully replied, Your Highness, this girl is not in any serious trouble. Her body is weak from losing too much blood and she hasn't had a good rest, so she's been unconscious for a long time. As long as she has a good rest, she will quickly recover. Chu Xiaoyang was still not assured and said, Does she not need to take medicine? Dr. Yi pondered it for a bit. Medicine is 30% poisonous. This girl's body is very good, so if she takes medicine, it will have the opposite effect. It's better to take care of her body through food. This old man has a few recipes that can replenish the blood and nourish the body, so it's better than taking medicine. When Qin Ning heard this, she couldn't help secretly admiring Dr. Ye's medical skills. She was clear on her body and it was because she had lost too much blood and overworked her brain that she had been unconscious for a long time. Medicine. This method isn't bad. How about this, you stay in the palace to take care of her body. When she's better, this king will send you out of the palace. If she needs any medicine right now, you can immediately make it for her. Chu Xiaoyang made his decision without any explanation. He clapped his hands together and sent out a signal. Following that, a black-clothed secret guard appeared in the room and bowed to him. Take Dr. Yi away and find a room for him to make the medicine. Give him all the ingredients he needs and once it's done, immediately bring it here. Chu Xiaoyang ordered. The secret guard agreed and took Dr. Yi away. Dr. Yi wanted to object, but he did not dare. He could only secretly curse his bad luck. The heavy stone door closed with a pung sound. The light in the room was as small as a bean and there was only the two of them left. Chen Ning laid on the bed and looked around. She found that this was a spacious stone room that was made of large rocks. There was only a single stone door and no windows. When she smelled the rotten smell, she guessed that this stone room must have been built deep underground. The furnishings in the stone room were very simple but very exquisite. For example, the bed she was lying on was a bed with exquisite and complicated carvings. The tables, chairs, and utensils in the room were all very exquisite, which was incompatible with the rough style of the entire stone room. It could be imagined that these tools and beds had just been moved in. This stone room was most likely built by Chu Xiaochen. This was a secret room. Was he planning to imprison him here for the rest of his life? Chu Xiaoyang was sitting in front of the bed and he was currently applying medicine to her wrist. His movements were very careful, not hurting her at all. After applying the medicine, he used a new layer of gauze to wrap her wrist. After wrapping up her left wrist, he applied medicine to her right wrist. Chen Ning did not say a word and did not refuse. She just looked down and silently watched his every move. Chapter 681. He had finally wrapped up the wounds on her wrists. He was so tired that he was covered in sweat. Actually, he was not tired, but he had never done this kind of thing before, so he couldn't help being flustered. The more he wanted to do it, the more he messed it up. Seeing her wrists wrapped like dumplings, he felt a bit embarrassed, but he was not willing to admit that it was ugly. Ning, are you thirsty? Do you want to drink some water? Chu Xiaoyang looked at her and said with a gentle expression. Chen Ning nodded. Her throat was already in so much pain that she couldn't speak. All right, I'll immediately pour some water for you. Chu Xiaoyang's face flashed with a look of joy. Because she did not scold him or get angry. He thought that when she found out that she was imprisoned here, she would go crazy with anger, but she didn't. He poured a cup of tea from the teapot on the table. The tea was a bit cold, so he held it in his palm. He secretly circulated his internal energy and warmed up the cup of tea. Then he walked in front of the bed and put a hand on her shoulder before placing the cup of tea by her lips. She drank it like rain and then said in a hoarse voice, "More." Hearing her hoarse voice, he couldn't help feeling his heart ache. He lovingly rubbed her hair and said with a smile, "All right." She drank 3 cups of tea in one go before her burning throat stopped hurting. She laid back down on the bed and looked at the embroidery on top of the curtains, silently falling into a daze. Chu Xiaoyang sat beside her and looked at her without blinking. Seeing that she was still looking at the curtains, not even looking at him and not saying a single word, he began to feel uneasy. Ning, you hate me, don't you? You hate me for locking you up here and not giving you freedom, don't you? He said in a low voice as his lips slightly curled up. He actually understood her. He also knew what she wanted, but right now he couldn't do it. Chen Ning still did not say a word. Hearing his words, she did not even blink as she just looked up at the sky. She felt like a part of her heart had already died. She did not want to listen to a single word of his and did not want to believe him at all. Ning, look at me and talk to me. Chu Xiaoyang could not stand being ignored by her. He would rather she scold him or hit him, it was better than her being this cold. He grabbed her shoulder and forcefully shook her, causing her black hair to rustle. She felt dizzy from his shaking and finally closed her eyes. When she opened them again, her eyes were filled with mist as she looked at him. Chu Xiaoyang, is this your way of loving me? Her voice was as low as a whisper because she did not have the strength to speak. What do you mean? He knit his brows. Lock me up like a prisoner, lock me to this bed and then wait for you to pamper me at any time. Is this what you want? She looked at him calmly before looking away. She stared at the candle flame behind him. His eyebrows furrowed like a lock as he glared at her. With a heavy sigh, he grabbed her chin and forced her to look at him. Ning, I'm doing this for your own good. If I didn't do this, would you obediently stay by my side? What? I. Chapter 682. Chu Xiaoyang's body trembled. He tightly pursed his lips and the hand holding her shoulder unconsciously began to tremble, but he did not say a word. He just silently looked at her. She paused and then continued to say, "You don't know how to love and you don't know how to love. The woman you love is the saddest woman in the world and I am the saddest person in the world, unfortunately to be loved by you." After saying this, she closed her eyes. It was clear that she did not want to say a single word to him. The saddest woman? Could it be that he liked her? Shouldn't she be the happiest woman in the world? Chu Xiaoyang took a deep breath and his chest filled with anger. He desperately suppressed it, telling himself that she was injured and that she couldn't withstand his anger. He had said that he would treat her well, so he couldn't be angry. But the more he tried to suppress it, the more he couldn't suppress it. He was an irritable person and he had endured it for a long time for her, but she did not appreciate it at all. She even used those cold words to hurt his heart? Could it be that just because he loved her, he had to humble himself and apologize in front of her? Then was he still a man? Qining, listen to me clearly. You are this king's woman and this king wants to treat you well, but don't force me. If you disobey me again, this king will not be this polite to you. He reached out his hand and pinched her slender neck, slowly tightening it. She couldn't breathe, but she stubbornly closed her eyes with a stubborn expression. He loved the look on her face. The anger that had been rising was slowly extinguished, and his fingers unconsciously loosened. Ning, don't make me angry anymore. Otherwise, I don't even know what kind of harm I'll do to you. He saw that her snow-white neck was swollen from his fingers and his heart filled with tenderness. He lowered his head and gently kissed the red mark on her neck. Her body violently trembled and she suddenly opened her eyes. She looked at him like she was looking at a poisonous snake. Her eyes were cold and filled with disgust. Her wrists were chained up and it was hard for her to move, but she still moved her neck over and used the back of her hand to wipe the place he had kissed. This action enraged him once again. Qining, this king kissed you and you're already this disgusted? If this king wanted you right now, what would you do? He fiercely grabbed her neck again. She closed her eyes and indifferently said, "Up to you. I'll just treat it as being bitten by a dog." His teeth creaked as he gritted them, wanting to strangle her to death. She had this ability. She could easily stir up the anger in his chest and make him as violent and furious as a lion, wishing that he could eat her up one bite at a time. With a chila sound. His hand that was strangling her neck landed on the front of her shirt. With a tug, he revealed her smooth skin and jade-like bones. But she lay flat on the bed, her eyes closed, her long eyelashes motionless. From the moment she found herself chained to the bed by him, she had guessed that this moment would come. She would not be able to escape him. Chu, Qin Qin Chu Xiao to said, Qin. Qin his Chu to Qinus and Qin. Qin to Qin Qin. Chu Xiaoyang, if you want this body then take it. It belongs to you in the first place. Chapter 683. The dim yellow candlelight shined on her body. The candlelight swayed and her skin released a jade-like luster. She laid there without moving, treating herself like she was already dead. Chu Xiaoyang's love for her was always a beast-like possession. He was not Mo Chuan respected and cared for her. She was very glad that she did not love the wrong person. Mo Chuan. She closed her eyes and silently said Mo Chuan's name in her heart. She had tried not to think of him, but at this time, her mind was filled with his figure. She thought of their first hug, their first kiss, and their first skin contact. He had always been very considerate of her feelings and treated her as if she was in the palm of his hand. His every move was very gentle, and when they were intimate she could feel his love and tenderness. It was clear that she was willing, but he endured so much pain and didn't take that step. He said that he would leave the most beautiful moment for their nuptial chamber. Nuptial chamber. She would never have that beautiful day with him. Her long eyelashes slowly became wet. She heard Chu Xiaoyang's rapid breathing and heartbeat and felt his hot breath on her skin. Her skin began to tremble. It was not fear but rather disgust. Ning, you're very beautiful and your body is also very beautiful. It's like a budding flower waiting for someone to pluck it. I really hope that I can be your first man, but if I really take you in this kind of situation, am I still a man? She suddenly heard Chu Xiaoyang's voice. His voice was unexpectedly calm and she couldn't help opening her eyes. Under the candlelight, his deep eyes fell onto her face. They were dark and deep and she couldn't understand the emotions in his eyes at all. He pulled the quilt over her and with his arms stretched out on either side of her, he leaned over her to look at her. I want to have you but not now, not when you are chained to the bed by me. I chained you up because I care about you too much and I'm afraid of losing you. You don't know how afraid I am. He raised a hand and slowly stroked her face. His gaze was infatuated with her face, and his eyes were filled with deep love and heartache. Ning, you don't need to be afraid of me, I'm the one afraid of you. Don't you know that you hold all of my happiness and happiness in your hands? I'm really afraid of losing you. They all want to take you away from me but you are mine, no one can take you away. As for you, you clearly love me. Why do you want to leave me? You like that man, don't you? You like him because he's the emperor, don't you? But don't you know that his throne should have been mine? Chu Xiaoyang suddenly became excited and his slightly trembling voice became louder. His eyes filled with blood and anger just like a wild beast about to explode. Qin Ning's lips moved. No, the reason she liked Mo Chuan was not because he was the emperor, but because his love for her was something that he did not ask for in return. She bit her lips and did not say anything because she knew that if she praised Mo Chuan at this time, it would completely anger the man in front of her. Chapter 684. Another day I will definitely tell you this secret, but not now. Ning, just obediently wait here for me to come back. You don't need to worry or be afraid, there will be people taking care of you after I leave. If you need anything, just shout and someone will help you get it. He got up and stood in front of the bed. He looked at her tightly closed lips and her tightly closed eyes, and he smiled maliciously. Ning, don't you want to ask where this king is going? She closed her eyes and turned a deaf ear. Hearing that he was going to leave, she let out a sigh of relief from the bottom of her heart. She did not want to know where he was going, she hoped that he would never come back. Chu Xiaoyang lowered his head and his lips almost touched her ear. With a gentle laugh he said, "This king is going to the palace for a banquet. This is a celebration banquet that he has specially prepared for you and he has personally sent an imperial decree for this king to bring you along. Tell me, if he knew that you were locked in this deep underground stone room by this king, what kind of expression would he have? He wants to see you, but this king won't let him see you. Ha 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 ha." He gave a proud laugh. Qin Ning forcefully bit her lips. Her body began to tremble from her anger and the blanket began to tremble. "Don't bite yourself, it will make my heart ache, my good Ninger." He used his fingers to pry open her tightly closed lips and saw a smear of red on his fingertips. It was her blood, the blood that flowed out when she bit her lips. He smiled as he brought the blood-stained finger to his lips. Using the tip of his tongue to taste it, he praised, "Your blood is really sweet, I wonder if your lips will taste this sweet. If it wasn't for the fact that it's almost time, this king would really want to taste you." He stood up and gave another loud laugh. His laughter echoed in the stone room. This king can't wait to enter the palace right now. This king wants to personally tell him that the woman he wants to see the most and his most beloved woman can't come. And I think his expression will be very interesting. Ning, wait for me to come back and I will tell you everything that happened in the palace banquet. Especially that man, this king wants to see how proud he is. After he said this, he walked out with large steps. The heavy stone door closed behind him, releasing a heavy sound. Chu Xiaoyang left for a long time. She slowly opened her eyes. The room was lit by a small lamp, releasing a dim light. Although the light was weak, it was much better than the darkness from before. She stared blankly at the ceiling above her head. Through the curtains she could see thick and heavy rocks. This stone room must have been built very sturdily. Not to mention that her limbs were chained up, even if she could move freely, there was no way she could escape from here. Not to mention the fact that she knew that Chu Xiaoyang had left guards outside to guard her. She could not escape. But was she going to let him lock her up here like a prisoner for the rest of her life? She would not give. She would not give. Although he didn't take her body by force, it didn't mean that he didn't want to. As long as she stayed here, sooner or later she would become his possession, his plaything. She would lose her dignity as a human being. Although her limbs were locked and her body had lost its freedom, her mind was free. She would definitely be able to think of a way to get herself out of this predicament. Chapter 685. She knew that Chu Xiaoyang had already steeled his heart to lock her up here for the rest of her life. The only way now was for someone to send a message for her. If Mo Chuan and Chu Xiaobai knew that she was locked up here, they would definitely think of a way to save her. But who could help her send a message? The entire palace was filled with Chu Xiaoyang's people. Adding in the fact that she was locked up in this underground stone room, she could not see anyone at all. She believed that Chu Xiaoyang would definitely keep her information a secret. Suddenly, a light flashed in her mind and she thought of a person. That was Dr. Yi, who had taken her pulse not long ago. He was the only outsider that Chu Xiaoyang had brought in. "Is there anyone here? Someone come." She raised her voice and shouted. Last time no one paid attention to her even if she shouted herself hoarse, but this time was different. She believed that since Chu Xiaoyang dared to say this, he would definitely leave someone outside to guard her and satisfy her request. As expected, as soon as her voice fell, she heard a voice come from outside the stone door. "What does the princess consort need?" That voice was very unfamiliar, but it was very respectful. It seemed like it was one of Chu Xiaoyang's secret guards. I'm hungry, I want to eat, she said. That voice sounded again. I asked the princess consort to wait a moment. Then there was no more movement. After a while, Chen Ning heard the sound of footsteps coming from outside. Following that, she heard the stone door open. The secret guard pushed open the stone door and said, "Go in." Under the dim candlelight, she saw Dr. Yi carrying a wooden tray. He was trembling with fear as he walked in. His face was filled with fear. When he entered the stone room and found that there was only Chen Ning inside, he let out a sigh of relief. "Miss, the medicinal cuisine is ready. Please enjoy." Dr. Yi walked in front of the bed with the wooden tray, but he suddenly remembered that the other side's wrist was chained to the bed. He couldn't help looking back at the secret guard and revealing an awkward expression. His heart was thinking that this old man wouldn't feed her, right? Chen Ning slightly raised her right hand and shook the chains. She coldly said to the secret guard behind Dr. Yi, "This princess wants to eat, are you still not going to untie the chains on my wrist?" The secret guard hesitated for a bit before saying in a low voice, "Without His Highness' orders, this subordinate does not dare." "Very good, then you can feed this princess." Chen Ning did not force it as she spoke in a soft voice. The secret guard's heart skipped a beat. He secretly thought that this was a woman that His Highness regarded as his eyes. Other men would be slapped if they even looked at her, but he still dared to feed her? If His Highness knew of this, he would definitely cut off his head. When His Highness left, he told me that if this princess needed anything, I just had to say it. Now that this princess wants to eat, you're using all sorts of excuses to refuse this princess' request. Once His Highness returns, I will tell His Highness everything. Chen's face turned serious and she put on the princess's stance. The secret guard's heart was filled with bitterness, but if he was told to let Chen Ning go, he wouldn't dare even if he was given 120 times more courage. "I'm not asking you to let me go. I'm just asking you to unlock the chain on my right hand. Is that not okay? I am just a weak girl without the strength to truss a chicken and I don't know any martial arts. Could it be that I can still run?" The secret guard thought about it. There was only a girl and an old man in this stone room and they didn't know any martial arts. Would he be afraid of them flying into the sky? Chapter 686. The secret guard took out a small lock from his waist and unlocked the shackles on her right wrist before moving to the side. He was still very careful, not daring to be careless at all. Although he had unlocked one of her shackles, he still stared at her without blinking, afraid that she would make any strange movements. Chen Ning moved her wrist and supported herself up from the bed. She said to Dr. Yi, "Dr. Yi, it's hard for me to move, so I'll have to trouble you to bring the bowl of porridge closer." Dr. Yi said, "Yes, Princess Consort." He took 2 steps forward with the wooden plate and his attitude instantly became very respectful. He had thought that the girl on the bed had been kidnapped by His Highness, so he had been chained up. But when he heard the secret guard call her Princess Consort, he realized the other side's identity and did not dare to act rashly. Chen Ning saw that he was blocking the secret guard's line of sight. She picked up the spoon and tapped the bowl of porridge. She said, "This porridge is too hot, how can it be eaten? Dr. Yi, I'll have to trouble you to blow on it a bit for this princess." Yes. Dr. Yi immediately blew on the porridge bowl. Chen Ning took this chance and dipped her finger into the soup in the bowl. She began to write on the wooden plate. "I beg you for one thing." She quickly wrote these 4 words. Then she looked up and stared at Dr. Yi without blinking. Dr. Ye's old eyes suddenly opened wide and he looked at Chen Ning with a look of panic. He quickly lowered his head and blew on the porridge, not bothering with the 4 words she wrote. Chen Ning knew that he was afraid of Chu Xiaoyang. Thinking about it, she took off the golden hairpin in her hair and pulled on his sleeve. Her eyes revealed a pleading look as she placed the golden hairpin in his sleeve. Dr. Ye's heart skipped a beat. He felt the weight in his sleeve and knew that the golden hairpin was a precious item. His eyes revealed a look of greed as he blinked at Chen Ning. Chen Ning knew that he agreed. She let out a sigh of relief and continued to write. "Please send a letter to King Jing'an's palace. Say that Ning is imprisoned in the underground stone room and please come save her." Dr. Yi saw these words and the wooden plate in his hand became unstable. The porridge knocked against the wooden plate and almost spilled out. She picked up the porridge and wiped away the words, not leaving a single trace. "Dr. Yi, what ingredients did you put in this soup? Why does it taste so bitter?" she said in a calm voice as she secretly pulled on Dr. Ye's sleeve. Dr. Yi finally came back to his senses. He looked at Chen Ning in a daze and licked his lips a few times. It's the yellow cattail, Panax noto ginseng, crane immortal grass and schisandra. They are all blood-nourishing herbs and the taste is a bit bitter, but..." I understand. Dr. Yi wants to say that good medicine tastes bitter, right? Many thanks for Dr. Ye's efforts. Once this princess body recovers, I will heavily reward Dr. Yi. Qin Ning interrupted him and finished the porridge in a few bites. She placed the bowl back on the wooden plate and said to the secret guard, "This porridge is too bitter, I'm not used to it." Dr. Yi is a doctor who writes prescriptions, his medical skills are very high, having him do this kind of rough work for this princess is too unfair to him. Send someone to send Dr. Yi back and also write down the herbs that Dr. Yi mentioned. Have the palace's chefs make them. Qin said. Seeing Qin Yi Qin he said, "Qin Dr. Qin." After saying that, he walked forward and locked her right wrist. Chapter 687. Qin Ning gave an sound and then closed her eyes. The secret guard led Dr. Yi out of the stone room and locked the stone door. The footsteps of the two gradually faded away. She laid down on the bed and looked at the lamp on the table, letting out a faint sigh. Letting Dr. Yi help her send a message was the only method she could think of, but Dr. Yi could not be trusted. Whether he would help her send a message or not, she did not know and could not guess. The so-called money moves people's hearts. Perhaps Dr. Yi was a greedy person and would help her send a message for the sake of the golden hairpin. If he was as timid as a mouse and was afraid of Chu Xiaoyang, then he would turn around and sell her out. No matter what the result was, she had to take a gamble. Because this was her only chance. She did not let Dr. Yi go find Mo Chuan because she knew Dr. Yi was a commoner. He had no way of entering the palace and could not see Mo Chuan, but it was much easier to see Chu Xiaobai. She believed that once Chu Xiaobai knew of her situation, he would definitely come to save her. She had already done what she could, now all she had to do was wait. As for whether she could win this gamble or not, it was hard to predict. She decided not to guess the result of this gamble. She relaxed her mind and did not think about anything else, falling asleep not long after. At the same time in the royal palace's Qingyan Hall, it was filled with candles and wine. There was a grand banquet being held in the palace. In the large hall, there were all sorts of delicacies, fruits and wine. The ministers were drinking the wine, tasting the delicacies and enjoying the moving song and dance. Chu Xiaoyang was sitting in the middle of the crowd, looking very spirited and radiant. His purple robe made him look very handsome and outstanding. There were ministers coming to toast him from time to time, flattering him and praising him and his princess who was ill and could not attend the banquet. Everyone's praises almost drowned him. Speaking of this celebration banquet was set up for him and Qin Ning. His face was filled with smiles as he drank the wine, appearing to be in a very good mood. He had never had this kind of glory in his life before. Although this glory was given to him by her, he also felt proud. This was because she was his princess. Everyone praising his princess made him happier than praising himself. East Qin and West Chu had been at odds for many years, but West Chu had always been in a situation where they could not retaliate. They had never been able to gain the upper hand in East Qin. But today Qin Ning had made a beautiful comeback for the West Chu country. Although there were still 2 more rounds to go, the victory of the first round was enough to boost everyone's confidence, giving them greater hope for the next 2 rounds. Compared to Chu Xiaoyang's glory, the Emperor Mo Chuan was much more silent. From beginning to end he had barely spoken a word. He sat alone on the dragon throne facing the north, drinking the wine in his cup in solitude. Cup after cup, he couldn't remember how many cups he had drunk. Every cup of wine that entered his mouth was extremely bitter, but it wasn't as bitter as his heart. Mo Chuan remembered that when the banquet started not long ago, Chu Xiaoyang had arrived late. He couldn't sit still and couldn't help looking at the door until the eunuch loudly reported, "Ding Yuan is." He couldn't help but stand up from the dragon throne and raise his head in anticipation. Chapter 688. Chu Xiaoyang's purple robe fluttered in the wind and his long eyebrows reached his temples. He walked straight to the throne and bowed to Mo Chuan. "Greetings to the emperor." He raised his brows in a slightly provocative manner and his lips curled into a faint smile. His expression was not respectful at all. But Mo Chuan was not angry. "Xiaoyang, why is it only you? Didn't this one give the order for you to come with the princess?" He softly said. "Oh, the emperor is asking about this minister's princess?" Chu Xiaoyang shrugged his shoulders and casually said, "She is sick so she can't come to the banquet. I've let down the emperor's good intentions, I ask for the emperor's forgiveness." "Sick? What illness?" Mo Chuan stared into his eyes and said. He didn't believe it. If she was really sick, would he still be smiling so happily? The east field is very windy and I was blown by the wind while riding, so I had a headache. Is the emperor satisfied with this answer? Chu Xiaoyang raised his brows and said. Mo Chuan gritted his teeth and coldly looked at Chu Xiaoyang. He did not believe a single word he said. Chu Xiaoyang said in an uncaring voice, if the emperor does not have any other orders, then this minister will go to the banquet. After saying this, he turned around and slowly walked to his seat. He had a smile on his face as he chatted with the surrounding ministers. Mo Chuan's fingers in his sleeves tightly clenched into fists. He wished he could punch Chu Xiaoyang's smile off his face. Of course he knew why Chu Xiaoyang was smiling like this. It was because he had the qualifications to smile like this. But why didn't she come? Was it because she didn't want to come? Or was it because Chu Xiaoyang didn't want her to come? Mo Chuan thought of the decisive words she said to him on the field and her cold eyes. His heart was filled with a strong pain. Did she not want to see him? But did she know how much he wanted to see her again? Just a single glance was enough. Even if he could not have her, he did not hope for her to return to his side. As long as he saw her safe and happy, even if that happiness was brought to her by Chu Xiaoyang, he would be satisfied. The hall was filled with guests, laughing and dancing. It was a joyous and harmonious atmosphere. Everyone in the hall had a happy smile on their faces, but only he had no expression as he drank the bitter wine in his cup. His eyebrows, which were as clear as mountains, never relaxed. His body, which was like an orchid tree, swayed a little. He felt that he was drunk, but he couldn't stop the wine in his cup. Emperor, you can't drink any more. A clear and melodious voice rang in his ears. Mo Chuan slightly looked up. In front of him was a white-clothed handsome youth who came forward to take the wine cup in his hand. Xiaobai, come and drink with this one. Today is truly a good day to celebrate, don't you think? He had a drunken expression as if he was drunk. Emperor, you are the ruler of a country, you can't be like this. Chu Xiaobai turned around and ordered, go get some hangover soup. Be he the ruler of a country? We are the monarch of a country, but do you know how useless we are as an emperor? This country's ruler position. This one doesn't want the throne and this one doesn't want to be the emperor anymore. Xiaobai, you can be the emperor, alright? Mo Chuan suddenly looked up and smiled at Chu Xiaobai. He looked very drunk. His alcohol tolerance was very great, and adding in his deep internal energy, even if he drank 2 full jugs of wine he would not be this drunk. Chapter 689. Emperor. Chu Xiaobai was shocked and quickly looked around. It was a good thing the surrounding eunuchs and maids were standing far away and no one heard Mo Chuan's words, otherwise he really did not know how to stop these people's mouths. His heart kept beating fast. He never thought that the emperor would be this drunk, even saying that he didn't want to be the emperor. It could be seen how depressed his heart was and how hurt it was. Of course he knew why the emperor was like this. Even when he saw Chu Xiaoyang come to the banquet alone without her by his side, he felt a sense of loss and his heart felt empty. He did not have any other hopes right now, he just hoped that his third brother would treat her well and cherish her. Since she chose to stay by his third brother's side, it must be because of his third brother's true feelings for her, right? Since it was like this, what did he have to worry about? His only wish right now was to occasionally see her. He did not want to attend this banquet, but when he thought of seeing her, he couldn't help coming. He came, but he was disappointed. At this time, Chu Xiaoyang slowly stood up from his seat. He cupped his hands at everyone and walked into the back hall. Chu Xiaobai knew that he was going to the toilet and his heart skipped a beat. He was about to follow him, but with just a thought, Mo Chuan's figure was even faster than him. A bright yellow robe flashed in front of him and Mo Chuan had already followed Chu Xiaoyang into the back hall. Chu Xiaoyang, stop. Mo Chuan's figure flashed and he was already in front of Chu Xiaoyang. The two of them stood in the hallway leading to the back hall with no one on either side. There were several beautiful flowers swaying in the wind, releasing a faint fragrance. But neither of them was in the mood to appreciate the flowers. Emperor, this minister has drunk too much and wants to go to the toilet. You are blocking this minister's path. Could it be that you are afraid this minister will go first? You are the ruler and Xiaoyang is the minister, so the emperor should go first. Chu Xiaoyang gave a slight bow to Mo Chuan with a smile. Although his posture was respectful, his expression was one of indifference. What about her? Tell this one the truth. Is she sick or does she not want to come? Or are you not letting her come? Mo Chuan stared into Chu Xiaoyang's eyes and said this word for word. Her? Which her? Who is she? Please forgive this minister for not understanding the emperor's meaning. Chu Xiaoyang. Your subject is here. I want to know about Ning'e. The smile on Chu Xiaoyang's face finally disappeared and his eyes turned cold. He coldly looked at Emo Chuan with a dark gaze. Your Majesty. This official does not want to hear her name from another man's mouth. If anyone dares to call her Ning'e. He lowered his voice, revealing a hint of threat. This one did. What do you dare do? Emo Chuan said in a cold voice. You are the monarch. This subject does not dare to do anything, but she is this subject's princess. This subject can do whatever he wants. The veins on Emo Chuan's forehead popped out. He grabbed Chu Xiaoyang's wrist and used a lot of strength. She's just a weak woman. If you have the ability, come at me. Don't you dare bully her. What? Does the emperor feel sorry for me bullying her? Chu Xiaoyang raised his brows as if nothing had happened and revealed a smile. Emo Chuan's eyes turned red and he said in a hoarse voice, That's right, this one's heart hurts, but she chose you. Chu Xiaoyang, if you dare bully her, this one will. Chu Xiaoyang did not wait for him to finish before revealing an uncaring smile. Chapter 690. Chu Xiaoyang's wrist made cracking sounds from Emo Chuan's grip, but he just stared right at Emo Chuan. His eyes were cold and his voice was filled with hatred. In this way, your Majesty can openly snatch away the wife of an official, right? Just like how the emperor stole the throne that should have belonged to me. Very good, this minister is here. If the emperor wants to kill me, then kill me. Kill this minister and she will be yours. Now that I'm dead, you can sit on the throne in peace. He had held back these words for almost 10 years and he could finally say them out loud. His heart was filled with an indescribable joy. Even if he was going to be beheaded for saying these words, he did not care. Perhaps he had drunk too much, so he dared to say the words hidden in his heart under the influence of alcohol. Chu Xiaoyang. The anger in Emo Chuan's chest was ignited and it quickly reached his brain. His entire head was buzzing and the wine he had just drunk allowed him to speak without any fear. If you want the throne, I'll give it to you. If you want to be the emperor, you can be it. I don't want anything else, I just want her. Hearing this, Chu Xiaoyang was stunned. Then he began to laugh in a low voice. Your Majesty, is she actually more important than the throne in your heart? You're willing to exchange the throne for her? This minister is truly flattered, but this minister is the same as the emperor. I don't love the country. I only love her. He laughed until tears came out, wiping them away as he laughed. The throne? It wasn't that he didn't want it, but he knew that with Empress Dowager Zhou here, there would never be a day where Chu Xiaoyang could become the emperor. If you really love her, then you have to treat her well and never bully her. Emo Chuan said in a hoarse voice. Seeing Chu Xiaoyang mention her in that kind of uncaring manner, he felt like his heart was about to crack. The girl he treated like a treasure, the girl he couldn't bear to touch, had actually fallen into Chu Xiaoyang's hands. It seemed like he didn't care about her at all and didn't cherish her at all. Since it was like this, why did he have to take her for himself? This minister will say the same thing. She is this minister's princess, and if she is devoted to me and serves me well, I won't even have time to love her. However, if she dares to sleep by my side and thinks of another man in her heart, then that would be hard to say. This minister is a man, this minister can't allow her to be unfaithful to me. Emo Chuan forcefully gritted his teeth and his chest began to rise. He shouted in a low voice, Chu Xiaoyang. Chu Xiaoyang had a smile on his face, but his eyes were filled with a cold aura. He said with a smile, if any man dares to have any ideas about her, call her name once and this minister will cut off a finger. If you call her twice, this minister will cut off 2 fingers. If that man doesn't know what's good for him and keeps calling me that, this official doesn't mind chopping off her 10 slender jade fingers. Even if she has no hands, she still has a beautiful face, and this official will continue to dote on her. If she dares to have a change of heart, this official will dig out her heart and feed it to the dogs. Shakes Emo Mo's chest. Emo Chuan's heart. Chuan, King Emo Chuan's eyes filled. Emo Shakensi's voice, Emo was Chu. Emo Chu, but the smile on his face did not decrease at all. A pair of eyes filled with hate stared right at Emo Chuan. This one will kill you right now. Emo Chuan's eyes turned blood red. His reason had already been burned to ashes by the wine and his anger. He was so angry that he just wanted to kill someone. Chapter 691. Emperor, don't. Chu Xiaobai jumped out from the shadows and grabbed Emo Chuan's hand. He followed behind the 2 of them and clearly heard their words. His heart was filled with conflict. One was his third brother and the other was his uncle, both of them were his flesh and blood. But they had become enemies. He did not show himself because he didn't know what to do and which side he should stand on. In terms of emotion, he should help his third brother, but when he heard his third brother's cold words, his heart turned to ice. He never thought that his third brother would be this ruthless, even saying such cruel words. Then wouldn't Ning be tortured if she stayed by his third brother's side? He felt his heart go cold and hot, going up and down, suffering. He wanted to leave, but he wanted to hear the result. Until Chu Xiaoyang completely angered Mo Chuan. If he didn't save him, Mo Chuan, who had lost his mind, would strangle Chu Xiaoyang to death. Mo Chuan was filled with rage, but when he saw Chu Xiaobai appear, he was instantly stunned. Emperor, please let go of third brother. Even if third brother says something wrong and offends the emperor, he doesn't deserve to die. Mo Chuan's rationality slowly returned and he found that his hand was on Chu Xiaoyang's neck. Chu Xiaoyang's face was already purple, but he still had a look of contempt as he gave him a cold smile. Chu Xiaoyang, this one promises you. From now on, I will never mention a single word about her and will never provoke her again. This one hopes that you can properly cherish her and treat her well. Mo Chuan said word for word before turning around. His yellow robe fluttered in the wind and his back was long, quickly disappearing around the corner. Third brother, your injury. Is it all right? This little brother has some good medicine here, can you apply some? Although Chu Xiaobai hated Chu Xiaoyang's ruthlessness, he was still his third brother. Seeing the deep purple marks on his neck, he couldn't help feeling worried. Scram. There's no need for you to pretend to be kind. Chu Xiaoyang pushed him away and coldly looked at him. Chu Xiaobai, you're not a good thing either. What good intentions do you have for her? You're the same as the emperor, jackals of the same tribe. He angrily flung his sleeves and strode away without looking back. Chu Xiaobai stood there in a daze. Looking at Chu Xiaoyang's back, he suddenly had a strong premonition. His third brother angrily leaving like this, he would definitely vent his anger on her. What should he do? What should he do? Save her, he had to save her. His heart was beating fast and he did not care about the fact that the palace banquet was not over yet. He activated his qinggong and ran out of the palace. He did not even have time to ride a horse as he jumped onto the roof and ran in the direction of the King Dingyuan Palace. He had to take her away from danger before Chu Xiaoyang returned to the palace. Even if his third brother hated him, he couldn't care less. In the Inqing Palace, Chu Xiaochen's heart. Mo Chuan and Chu Xiaoyang had already returned to their seats, but the two of them did not look at each other, just like two strangers. No one noticed that the two of them had left the table one after the other, and no one knew what had happened on the back porch. Chapter 692. After he drank a few cups of wine, his white jade-like face was covered in a faint glow. With the silk around his neck, he looked like a jade tree. Not only was it not strange, it made him look even more elegant. Mo Chuan thought that after Chu Xiaoyang was injured, he would angrily leave the palace. He never thought that he would be the same as him, returning to his seat and drinking with the ministers. He couldn't help feeling this was strange. Thinking about it, it was better if he didn't return to the palace. If he left in a fit of anger, perhaps he would vent his anger on her. He couldn't help feeling deep regret for his reckless actions. He shouldn't have angered Chu Xiaoyang even though he knew that he was an angry beast. The more he thought about her, the angrier Chu Xiaoyang would become. If he really wanted her good, he would never mention a single word about her in front of Chu Xiaoyang. It was all because of drinking. Mo Chuan was deeply alert. He pushed the wine cup far away and did not drink a single drop. His Highness the East Qing Crown Prince has arrived. Suddenly, a loud voice came from the entrance of the Anqing Palace, shocking all the West Chu ministers in the main hall. Everyone turned their heads and looked at the entrance of the main hall. Hearing the sound of boots, a tall black-clothed man appeared in front of everyone. He had a deep and handsome face and his black cloak fluttered in the night wind. He stood at the entrance of the main hall, like a goshawk spreading its wings, majestic and vigorous. It really is the East Qing Crown Prince. That's right. But why is he here? This is our West Chu country's celebration banquet. He was defeated by our Dingyuan princess. If it was me, I wouldn't have the face to appear here. The ministers couldn't help whispering. Namu Kuo raised his head and puffed out his chest. His eagle-like eyes scanned the hall as if he was looking for someone. Although the ministers' voices were low, he heard every single word. He turned a deaf ear to them and ignored them. He quickly looked around and then walked forward. He walked in front of Mo Chuan's throne and bowed to pay his respects. Respected Emperor, Namu Kuo has come late, I ask for your forgiveness. Mo Chuan slightly raised his hand and said, Your Highness is too polite. For you to personally come to the banquet, it is a blessing. The two of them exchanged a few polite words before Namu Kuo sat down in the seat closest to Emo Chuan. Emo Chuan knew that there must be a reason for his sudden appearance, but he remained calm. He did not take the initiative to ask, rather he chatted with him about the East Qing country's customs. As expected, after a few random words, Namu Kuo began to lose his cool. Your Majesty, I've heard that this palace banquet is being held for your country's Dingyuan princess, but why haven't I seen her? According to King Dingyuan, the princess is not feeling well, so she can't attend. Emo Chuan calmly replied as he looked at Chu Xiaoyang. When Namu Kuo heard this, he looked at him. He clapped his hands and the servant behind him immediately took out a brocade box. He placed it in front of Emo Chuan and then opened it in front of everyone. This prince has 1,000-year-old snow ginseng here. It is very rare and can cure all kinds of illnesses. This prince wants to give it to the princess. I believe that after she eats this snow ginseng, she will be completely cured. What? 1,000-year-old ginseng? Chapter 693. They all stretched their necks to look into the gift box, and saw that on the red satin cloth in the box, there was indeed a ginseng that had already taken the shape of a human. Normal ginseng was turmeric yellow, but this ginseng was completely snow white, and it had the appearance of a child. Snow ginseng took 100 years to form, and now this snow ginseng looked like this. It was indeed a 1,000-year-old object, a rare treasure. The ministers all let out sounds of envy as they all congratulated Chu Xiaoyang. The smile on Chu Xiaoyang's face instantly disappeared. He stared right at Namu Kuo and a cold glow flashed in his eyes. King Dingyuan, this is a gift from Crown Prince Namu to the princess. This gift is very heavy, why aren't you thanking the Crown Prince yet? Emo Chuan looked at Chu Xiaoyang and slowly spoke. Chu Xiaoyang ground his teeth a few times before standing up. He walked in front of Namu Kuo and cupped his hands to him. The Crown Prince's good intentions, please forgive this king for not accepting it. This snow ginseng is a rare treasure and there is no such thing as a reward without work. This king's princess does not have the fortune to accept the Crown Prince's gift, so I asked the Crown Prince to take it back. He actually directly rejected it. When he said this, the ministers were stunned. They were thinking, wasn't King Dingyuan a fool? For him to give you such a precious gift, that means he thinks highly of you and the princess. Moreover, the heavier the gift, the more it represents the Crown Prince's sincerity, so it would be a waste not to accept it. Namu Kuo gave a clear laugh and said, there is no such thing as a reward without work, your highness' words are correct. However, this prince gave the princess this gift with selfish intentions. This prince is known as the smartest person in the world, but I lost to the princess in a competition today. This is the first time this prince has lost in 10 years, but this prince is not convinced, so I want the princess to compete again tomorrow. I heard that the princess is sick, so I gave this snow ginseng in hopes that the princess will recover soon and be able to compete with this king again. When his voice fell, the sound of a cold breath being sucked in filled the hall. The ministers began to discuss with each other again. What? Compete again? It really is a weasel paying respects to a chicken, he has bad intentions. That's right, that's right. What 1,000-year-old snow ginseng, so it's like this. This crown prince is clearly not willing to admit defeat. Let's compete. Could it be that our Dingyuan princess is afraid of him? Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air and their minds were filled with excitement. They were worried that the East Qing crown prince would come up with too difficult problems to make things difficult for West Chu, but hearing that they would compete again, they all let out a sigh of relief. They were all thinking that since the princess could win the first time, naturally she could win the second time. In this second match, West Chu would definitely win. King Dingyuan, since the crown prince has good intentions, you should accept this gift for the princess consort. Your Highness, you must agree to the crown prince's invitation. That's right, that's right. Let the princess compete again and let His Highness the crown prince lose convincingly. Everyone saw that Chu Xiaoyang was not saying a word. He did not answer Namu Kuo's question or accept the snow ginseng gift box, so they all began to persuade Chu Xiaoyang. Chu Xiaoyang's heart was filled with rage. Of course he knew why Namu Kuo asked for another match, it was because he was not willing. He did not forget his promise with her and wanted to take her away from him after he won. How could he agree to this? Chapter 694. Emo Chuan did not know about this, but hearing Namu Kuo's words, it was perfect. This was killing two birds with one stone. First, if she was really sick after taking this snow ginseng, she would be cured no matter how serious her illness was. Moreover, this snow ginseng had the effect of strengthening the body, so it was very beneficial to her. Second, Namu Kuo's request to compete again was equal to giving a second challenge. If she could win again, then West Chu would win the second round. So he said, Xiaoyang, this snow ginseng is very hard to come by, so just take it. It'll help the princess recover faster. Chu Xiaoyang almost crushed his teeth from gritting them. He suddenly looked up and glared at Mo Chuan. In his mind, this must have been the emperor's idea. He and Namu Kuo had colluded to come up with this idea to force him. He definitely could not agree. But in front of everyone's eyes, he couldn't not agree. He hesitated for a bit before reaching out to take the gift box from the servant's hands. With a serious expression, he said, "This king thanks your highness for your gift. I believe that after the princess takes it, she will be able to recover. When her body recovers, naturally she will be able to compete with your highness again." His words were cleverly and ambiguously phrased. It was neither a promise nor a refusal. Although Namu Kuo was very smart, he was very straightforward. He did not understand the meaning behind Chu Xiaoyang's words at all. Seeing him take his gift, he thought that he had agreed. He couldn't help smiling as he was in high spirits. Standing up, he placed his right hand on his left chest and bowed to Mo Chuan. "Your Majesty, this prince will leave first. This prince will wait for news in the guest house. I hope that the princess can recover soon and fight with this prince again." Mo Chuan could hear the hidden meaning behind Namu Kuo's words, but it was not convenient for him to remind Namu Kuo. His long brows slightly knit as he gave a slight nod to Namu Kuo. Namu Kuo turned to leave with large steps. He did not even look back and did not even look at Chu Xiaoyang. In his eyes, only Mo Chuan was his opponent. He did not place Chu Xiaoyang in his eyes at all. Chu Xiaoyang's heart was filled with anger, but he did not show it on his face. Instead, he curled his lips and revealed a faint smile. "Emperor, this minister will also leave first. This minister is worried about the princess' illness and wants to give this snow ginseng to her as soon as possible. I asked the emperor for permission." Although Mo Chuan knew that his words were not sincere, he could only nod in agreement. "King Ding Yuan, this one hopes to receive the good news of the princess' recovery as soon as possible. The hopes of our West Chu country are all on her." He stared at Chu Xiaoyang with a deep gaze, hoping that he could understand the meaning behind his words. He hoped that he could put the country's affairs first and his personal feelings second. Chu Xiaoyang looked like he did not understand his meaning as he lowered his eyes. "This minister will leave." After he finished speaking, he slowly withdrew from the main hall. Then, the corners of his purple robe fluttered as he disappeared into the darkness. Mo Chuan kept staring at his back until he couldn't see a corner of his clothes anymore. His right hand was placed on the armrest of the chair and the sturdy wood suddenly released a ka sound, breaking in half. Chen Ning was still in a daze when she suddenly felt the light from the lamp. She opened her eyes and saw a tall figure standing in front of her bed. He was holding a candlestick in his hand and was slightly bent over, staring right at her. Chapter 695. "Ning, this king has brought you a good thing. After you eat it, your injuries will be healed." Chu Xiaoyang clapped his hand and a guard on the side brought over a brocade box. He opened it and presented it to her like a treasure. A strong smell of ginseng assaulted his nostrils. Chen Ning did not want to pay attention to him, but when she saw this thing, her eyes couldn't help opening wide and she bit her lips. This is a 1,000-year-old snow ginseng. It can be considered a rare treasure, something that money can't buy. Look at this ginseng, it has a head and limbs and has already grown into a human shape. Eating it can cure 100 illnesses, and even if you don't have any illnesses, it will still be very beneficial to your body. Ning, do you like it? She closed her eyes. "I don't like it." No matter what he gave her, she didn't like it. He. She heard Chu Xiaoyang laugh. "I don't like it either because I hate the person who gave this to you. However, although he is hateful, I'll still accept his gift. Someone, immediately turn this snow ginseng into ginseng soup and give it to the princess consort." Chu Xiaoyang's eyes lit up. "Yes." The guard took the snow ginseng and quickly left. Chu Xiaoyang. She suddenly opened her eyes. He sat by her bed and revealed a smile. "Call me Xiaoyang, I like it when you call me by my name. Don't use that Chu word." He looked at her with a smile as if he was in a very good mood. Her crow feather-like hair was scattered across the pillow, making her face look white and tender. Her eyes were dark and moist, making his heart beat faster, but he was still smiling. "Ning, your hair is a mess. How come your hairpin is gone? But I'll prepare the best for you." He carefully tidied up her hair, and then used his calloused fingertips to gently touch her face. Her skin was soft and smooth and it felt good to the touch. "What do you want to say to me? Did you miss me after I left? Didn't I come back to accompany you soon? You." She tilted her head and avoided his fingers, but she was trapped on the bed. In this small space, where could she avoid? Chu Xiaoyang smiled again. "You don't like me touching you? All right, then I won't touch you. I'll wait for the time when you beg me to touch you." He kept his words and took back his hand, silently looking at her. "What do you want to say?" he asked. "Are you planning on locking me here for the rest of my life?" She stared at him. He said with a smile, "Locking you for the rest of your life? Of course not, I want you to accompany me for the rest of my life. Is this how you tie me to the bed?" She moved and the chains on her body clanked against each other. "Chu." Chu Xiaoyang rubbed his chin and looked at her as he said, "Ning, don't play tricks with me, I know what you want to do. If I let you go, you might use a very violent method to escape me, so I can't take that risk. I'd rather you hate me, I'll lock you up, I can't let you hurt yourself." She couldn't help closing. Yes, he was very smart. She couldn't help. She could. "Ning, don't you want to ask me about the situation at the palace banquet tonight?" She decided to close her eyes. "There is a person that is about to go crazy for you. Ning, do you want to know who he is?" His voice sounded in her ears in a bewitching manner. His hot breath blew behind her ears and she couldn't help getting goosebumps. Chapter 696. Open your eyes and take a look. I believe that you will be very happy when you see this. She heard the sound of cloth being torn. She thought that it was her clothes being torn, but she found that the blanket covering her body was still fine. She opened her eyes and saw that under the candlelight, Chu Xiaoyang's face was magnified in front of her. His facial features were as handsome as ever, but her eyes fell onto his neck. His neck was slender, but there were several purple marks that were swollen. It could be imagined how much strength the person had used. If it was a normal person who did not know martial arts, they would have suffocated to death. "Look at this, are you happy? This is the mark that man left on my body. He wanted to kill me." Chu Xiaoyang's finger touched the marks on his neck as he casually said. Qin Ning bit her lips and said after a while, "Why? Of course it's for you." He looked up at her and suddenly smiled. He said that he didn't want anything else, he just wanted you. He said that he would let me be the emperor as long as I let him have you. Zai, aren't you very moved after hearing this? Even I was almost moved. Do you want to know how I answered him? Although he did not say a single word about who he was, he and Qin Ning were both well aware of it. As he spoke, he stared fixedly at her expression, a playful smile on his face. She pursed her lips and did not say a word. She just coldly looked at him. "I told him that I don't love the world, I love beauties. I like you so much, even if you gave me the emperor, I wouldn't exchange it." After he heard this, his face became extremely ugly. "Aha, interesting, really interesting." But he did not give up. He actually called out your name in front of me and asked about you. So I told him that if he called you Ning again, I would. Hey, guess what I would do? The smile on his face froze and he said word for word, "I would cut off your fingers one by one and give them to him." I also told him that if you dared lie beside me and think of another man, I would dig out your heart and feed it to the wild dogs. Her body trembled violently, and the image of a bloody severed finger flashed through her mind. She knew that every word he said was true, and he wasn't trying to scare her. He really could do it. After that man heard this, he went crazy. He grabbed my neck and used a lot of strength, saying that he would kill me. Then another admirer of yours appeared. Zai Ning, this king really does not know how you managed to provoke them. Why do they all like you one after another? There is also that East Qing Crown Prince Namu, he actually said he wants to compete with you again. When he heard that you were sick, he took out that 1,000-year-old snow ginseng to give to you. This kind of good thing, even 10,000 gold coins couldn't buy it, but he gave it out without even blinking. If you said that he didn't have any strange thoughts towards you, even a fool wouldn't believe it, right? This king is not a fool, this king, and his eyes of heart. Chu Xiaoyang's brows curved and he revealed a low laugh. Although he was smiling, the coldness in his eyes became stronger and stronger. Although she was covered in a blanket, she still felt the chill. Chapter 697. So, what do you plan on doing to me? You're going to lock me up and lock me up like a bird in a cage, giving me food when I'm hungry, giving me water when I'm thirsty, teasing me when I'm happy, and leaving when I'm unhappy, isn't that right? Chu Xiaoyang, I'm a person, I'm not a canary in your cage. If you want to cut off my fingers, then cut them off. I'm not afraid even if you cut them all off. If you want to dig out my heart, then dig it out. I can clearly tell you that this heart will never have you." She said this in a single breath and then felt the air suddenly freeze. The temperature in the room suddenly dropped and a strong chill came from Chu Xiaoyang's body. He stood up abruptly, his tall figure blocking the candlelight at the head of the bed, casting a shadow over her head. He looked down at her, his eyes glinting with a cruel, dark light. He had finally been provoked to the brink of rage by her. He was like a man-eating beast, his ferocious nature exploding. Because she knew what words could hurt him the most. Qin Ning curled her lips into a smile. He thought he was the cat and she was the mouse. He had been playing the cat and mouse game from the beginning, treating her and Mo Chuan as mice in the cat's paws. He could play with them however he wanted, but she wouldn't let him have his way. "Chu Xiaoyang, didn't you love Qin Baiyun like this in the past? But what happened to her? She had your child, but you abandoned her like a pair of worn-out shoes. You even destroyed her face. She is living a life worse than death right now, so the woman you love will be very miserable. Qin Baiyun is like this and I am also like this." She forcefully grabbed the chains and shook them. She said with a cold smile, "How can you say you love me? How can you restrict my freedom and tie up my hands and feet? You humiliate me, you threaten me, and then you want me to fall in love with you? Which woman in this world would fall in love with a man like you? If she isn't a fool, then she is a fool." Chu Xiaoyang's face turned livid as he fiercely shouted, "Don't mention that cheap woman Qin Baiyun. You are different from her, she is a cheap woman and she lied to me. It was her and her wet nurse that made me fall in love with the wrong person. I hate her, if it wasn't for her, how could all these things have happened? That's why I want her to die. But my feelings for you have always been wholeheartedly and have never changed. I fell in love with you 8 years ago and 8 years later, I still love you." He grabbed her shoulders and shook her forcefully, messing up her hair and making the chains clank against each other. "Ning, I can be with you with all my heart, but why did you change? You clearly like me, but why did you have a change of heart so easily? Why? Tell me why." Qin Ning closed her eyes and then opened them again. Although her hair was messy and her face was pale, her eyes were still very beautiful. "Chu Xiaoyang, think about it clearly. The Qin Ning you like, is it the one who saved you 8 years ago or the current me? Haven't you noticed that we aren't the same person at all?" Chu Xiaoyang was stunned. He looked at her in a daze and knit his brows, not understanding her words at all. Chapter 698. Qin Ning shook her head. "No, she and I are not the same person. The Qin Ning that truly loved you is already dead. On the day you married Qin Baiyun, she spat out blood and died. So, I am not her, I have never loved you from beginning to end." Chu Xiaoyang gritted his teeth and said, "I understand. Ning, do you still hate me? Because I married Qin Baiyun, your love for me died, right? Alright, I'll let you see someone right now. I'll let your heart come back and I'll let you fall in love with me again." She stared at him and found that she could no longer explain herself. Even if she told him that she was a spirit that came from another world, he would not believe her. After all, no one in this era would accept this kind of mysterious matter. Chu Xiaoyang called over the secret guard and gave him a few orders in a low voice. The secret guard accepted his orders and left. Not long after, there was the sound of messy footsteps as several secret guards carried a large wooden stake into the room. There was a person tied to the stake with iron chains. That person had a head full of white hair that covered her face, making it impossible to see her appearance. "Ning, take a look at who this person is." Chu Xiaoyang clapped his hands. The secret guard moved aside the person's messy hair, revealing a face filled with panic. Her eyes were filled with fear and there was a rag in her mouth. She kept making sob sounds as if she was begging for mercy. "Miss Qin?" Qin Ning knit her brows as she recognized her with a single glance. "That's right, it's her. The main culprit of all this was this slut. She had already escaped the king's palace and this king had sent everyone out to capture this cheap woman. Now this king will let her tell you how they framed you and how they lied to this king." Chu Xiaoyang turned around and coldly stared at Miss Qin. He ordered, "Let her speak." The secret guard took out the rag in Miss Qin's mouth. "Spare me. Your Highness, I beg your Highness to spare me." As soon as Miss Qin could speak, she immediately begged for mercy. Chu Xiaoyang gave a cold laugh. "Miss Qin, now that you've fallen into this king's hands, it's impossible for you to live. Just obediently tell me the truth and this king will grant you a quick death." Miss Qin's face turned pale and she licked her lips a few times. This servant doesn't know anything. I was just listening to the second miss orders." If your highness wants to ask anything, you can ask the second miss. This cheap woman is not telling the truth. Someone come, cut off one of her fingers for this king. Chu Xiaoyang sat in front of the bed and gently lowered his head to help Chen Ning put her thick black hair behind her ears. He spoke without even raising an eyebrow. Miss Chen let out a pitiful cry like a pig being slaughtered. One's finger was cut off, one's finger was cut off, one's finger. Miss Chen was Chen. Miss Chen said. While Chu Xiaoyang was speaking, he kept looking at Chen Ning. Her face was very pleasing to the eye and one would never get tired of looking at her. He did not want to look at Miss Chen's old and ugly face. When Chu Xiaoyang said this, he kept looking at Chen Ning. Her face was very pleasing to the eye and he would never get tired of looking at it. He did not want to see Miss Chen's old and ugly face. This servant did not. Miss Chen almost fainted from the pain. Ah! The secret guard mercilessly cut off Miss Chen's second finger. Miss Chen's eyes turned white and she fainted. The secret guard mercilessly cut off Miss Chen's second finger. Miss Chen's eyes rolled back and she fainted. Reporting to your highness, the criminal has fainted. Chapter 699. When the salt water was poured onto the bloody wound, it was filled with a piercing pain. Although Chen Ning hated Miss Chen and her main body had been bullied by Miss Chen and Chen Bai Yun in the Hugua manner, seeing Chu Xiaoyang's calm expression when he tortured people, her heart was filled with a chill. He had always been a cold-blooded person. Towards the people he hated, he would not even bat an eyelid even if he were to cut them up with a knife. His love and hate were equally strong. Chen Ning knew that he was killing the chicken to warn the monkeys. He was clearly torturing Miss Chen, but he wanted her to lower her head to him. I'll say everything. Miss Chen was awakened by the pain. She looked at Chu Xiaoyang like she was looking at a demon from hell, her eyes filled with fear. Say it. Chu Xiaoyang still did not look at her. Yes. The second miss loves your highness, but your highness is engaged to the young miss. The second miss was very dissatisfied, so she called this servant over. This servant gave the second miss an idea and sent someone to your highness, saying that the one who saved your highness 8 years ago was not the young miss, but rather the second miss. Then your highness fell for it and drank yourself into a stupor. This servant did not understand what she meant, but the two of you drank the wine and went to bed in a daze. But I don't know what happened, but this servant suddenly heard the window open like it was blown open by the wind. This servant quickly went to close the window and found that there was only the second miss on the bed, but your highness was nowhere to be seen. Then, the second miss found out that she was pregnant. When Chu Xiaoyang heard this, he suddenly turned around. His eyes turned sharp as he angrily said, "Cheap woman, tell this king clearly. This king did not touch that cheap Chen Bai Yun at all that night, so whose bastard child was in her stomach? Your highness, this servant really doesn't know." Miss Chen began to cry. Cut off another one. Miss Chen suddenly trembled and shouted out, I'll say it all. But then, that night, when this servant went to close the window, I found that your highness had disappeared and the second miss was still lying on the bed. She had drunk the medicinal wine and the medicine had taken effect, making her look very painful. The second miss had told this servant that the medicine could only be cured if a man and a woman were together, but your highness and the second miss were not together. The second miss, her appearance made this servant very worried. If there was no antidote, this matter would be made known to everyone and the second miss' reputation would be ruined. This servant had no other choice but to find a guard to give the second miss the antidote. After that, this servant secretly dealt with the guard. Other than this servant, no one else knew about this matter. When the second miss woke up the next day, she naturally thought that the person she was with that night was your highness. When she became pregnant, she also thought that it was your highness' child. Miss Chen's voice became lower as she spoke. She naturally knew how big her crime was, and if this matter was known by others, the first person that wouldn't forgive her would be Chen Bai Yun. So when she heard the news from the palace, she immediately ran away from the palace and hid. But Chu Xiaoyang's secret guards were very resourceful. After searching from house to house, they still found her. So the truth was actually like this. Chapter 700. Then what happened after that? How did you collude with Ning? He said in a sharp voice. Miss Chen trembled when she heard his voice. She lowered her head, not daring to look at him. After that, on the day of your highness and the young miss wedding, the second miss found out that she was pregnant and gritted her teeth in anger. It was unknown where she found a bag of poison and sent people to sneak into the palace on the night of your wedding. They put the poison in the young miss food and the young miss spat out blood, falling unconscious. So the second miss volunteered to help the young miss. Your Highness, did you really think that it was the second miss who saved you in the past, so you agreed without any hesitation? The second miss said that the young miss wouldn't live for more than 3 days after taking the poison. When the young miss died, your Highness would put her on the princess throne, but for some reason on the wedding day of your Highness and the second miss, the young miss suddenly appeared and did not show any signs of being poisoned at all. She humiliated the second miss in front of everyone, and the second miss hated the young miss to the bone. She thought that the child in her stomach belonged to your Highness, so she used your Highness' love to harm the young miss several times, but she never succeeded. Afterwards, Lan Xiang died and the second madam sent me to the palace, telling me to help the second miss fulfill her wish. Although this servant was unwilling, I did not dare disobey the second madam and the second miss orders. Your Highness, Princess Consort, this servant's words are all true, there is not a single lie. I ask your Highness to grant this servant a quick death. After Miss Qin finished speaking, her eyes rolled back as she took in a cold breath. She was on the verge of death. She knew that it would be hard for her to escape death. She did not expect to live, she just hoped that she could suffer less torture before she died. Did you write it all down? Chu Xiaoyang asked. I've written it down, not a single word was missed. A secret guard replied. Take it and have that cheap woman sign it. The secret guard untied Miss Chen's right hand. Miss Chen endured the pain as she signed the confession and then fainted from the pain. Chu Xiaoyang took the confession and looked over it. He saw that it was exactly the same as what Miss Chen had said, and adding in Miss Chen's signature, his grievances were finally cleared. Take her away and lock her up. Remember, you cannot let her die no matter what. Chu Xiaoyang ordered. Yes. Several people took Miss Chen away with the wooden stake. There was only a pool of blood and 2 bloody fingers left on the ground. Chu Xiaoyang took the confession and placed it in front of Qin Ning. He could not suppress the excitement on his face. Ning, can you forgive me now? I have always been framed by those 2 cheap women. I have never touched that cheap woman Qin Baiyun. The child in her stomach is a bastard, it isn't mine at all. I have always been devoted to you. With this confession, this king can tell the world that this king will divorce that cheap woman Qin Baiyun. She colluded with Miss Chen and her mother to harm you, so this king will take revenge for you. This king will make them all die a horrible death. I will make them kneel in front of you and beg you one by one. Ning, do you like it? Qin Ning looked at his excited face. Seeing his handsome face, she couldn't help but shiver. Chapter 701. The smile on Chu Xiaoyang's face slowly faded before disappearing. He looked at her and it was like a bucket of cold water had been poured over his excited and happy mood. He had finally found Miss Chen and explained everything in front of her. He was innocent, so shouldn't she be excitedly jumping into his embrace? Why did she still have that indifferent expression on her face? He was filled with hope, but seeing her expression, his heart felt like it was being grabbed by an invisible hand and tightly squeezed. Ning, say something, say something. He grabbed her shoulder and deeply looked into her eyes. His heart was in chaos. What do you want me to say? She curled her lips and found that she had no words to say. Her and his thoughts were like 2 parallel lines that would never meet. What he gave her she did not want. What she wanted he did not give it to her. No matter how many things he did for her, she could not be moved. It was because of this. Could it be you really don't like me anymore? Everything I've done for you, was it all for nothing? The person in your heart is him, right? Chu Xiaoyang slowly let go of her hand. He lifted her chin and her long hair fell over her shoulders. Her face was like a painting, shining like the moon and stars, but her eyes no longer had him. The previous Qin Ning liked you, but she's dead. As for me, I have never liked you. Chu Xiaoyang, I have already clearly told you the answer. As for what you want to do, it's up to you. You can imprison me for a lifetime or dig out my heart and feed it to the wild dogs, it's up to you. She tiredly closed her eyes. Chu Xiaoyang's heart slowly turned cold. He tightened his chin and his eyes turned sharp as his breathing became heavy. Very good, this king's feelings for you have all been fed to the dogs. Qin Ning, don't think that this king can't bear to touch you just because I like you. Do you think you can escape? This king will let you see another person. He clapped his hands and the stone door opened again. A person was pushed in staggering. As soon as he entered, he kneeled down on the ground and began to kowtow to Chu Xiaoyang. Your Highness has mercy, your Highness has mercy. Chen Ning suddenly looked up and saw that the person kneeling on the ground was Dr. Yi. Her heart instantly sunk. Chu Xiaoyang slowly took out a golden hairpin from his sleeve. It was the one Chen Ning had given Dr. Yi before. He revealed a smile to Chen Ning and said in a gentle voice, "Ning, you don't like this hairpin, right? If you don't like it, this king will have someone make a better one for you, but why did you give this hairpin to this old man? Did you think that he would tell you after he received this hairpin?" She gave a cold shiver and coldly said, "If you want you Ning, of this, of you, Chin of your heart, Chen Ning's heart, Chen Ning's heart, of Ning Chin 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 Xiao Chin 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 of Chin? Chin 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 Ning's? Of Chin of his Ning. She Chin Chin of Chin. She of Chin of. She of she of sweat, she. Chapter 702. Your Highness, spare me. Dr. Yi gave a sob and almost fainted from fright. A few hidden guards stepped forward and dragged Dr. Yi out. Chu Xiaoyang. What do you want to do to not kill him? Chen Ning couldn't hold it in any longer. No matter what, Dr. Yi was implicated by her, so she couldn't let an innocent person die because of her. Under her excitement, the chains made a clanging sound. Not kill him? Could it be that you want him to report to Chu Xiaobai and have him save you? He looked at her and revealed a faint cold smile. You. She forcefully bit her lips. Give me a condition. As long as he doesn't die. Condition? What qualifications do you have to talk about conditions with this king? Chu Xiaoyang gave a cold smile as he shook his head. Ning, he is just a stranger you met, you don't need to worry about his life or death. This king really doesn't know what you're thinking in that little head of yours, do you know? He was the one who took the initiative to tell this king and gave this golden hairpin to this king. He betrayed you long ago, he wanted to gain this king's favor. He sold you out, but you begged this king for him and talked about conditions with this king. Chen Ning stared at him, knowing that he was not lying to her. When she saw Dr. Ye's expression, she had already guessed it. Because Dr. Yi did not dare look up at her, he had a guilty conscience. But even if he sold her out, she couldn't bear to see him being dismembered by Chu Xiaoyang. However, she bit her lips and did not say anything. She knew that the more she begged for Dr. Yi, the harder Chu Xiaoyang's heart would be. All right, this king can spare his dog life, but you have to agree to a condition of mine. He suddenly changed his words. What condition? She looked down, waiting for him to open his lion's mouth. This king is injured and I want you to personally apply medicine for me. This condition, do you agree to it or not? Chen Ning raised her brows. Was this simple? Chu Xiaoyang unlocked the chains on her hands and placed a bottle of ointment in her hands. Then he raised his head and silently waited. She picked up the ointment and began to apply it for him. Her hands were very gentle and the cool ointment was applied to his wounds. It brought a pleasant coolness that made him not feel any pain at all. He lowered his eyes to look at her. Her expression was very focused and serious. Her fingers were soft, giving him an indescribable sense of comfort. He really wished that his injuries were a bit more serious so that she could apply medicine for him for a bit longer. Lock that rotten old man up, he said, clearing his throat. Yes, Your Highness. Dr. Yi managed to keep his life. He didn't even dare to let out a fart as he was dragged away by the shadow guards. Your Highness, the ginseng soup is ready. Bring it over, Chu Xiaoyang said. He took the ginseng soup and scooped it up with a spoon. He blew on it before bringing it to her lips. She reached the bowl and said, I can of it. You helped this king apply the medicine just now, and now this king is returning the favor by personally feeding you soup. What, are you not going to give this king this chance? His tone became slightly heavy. She looked up at him and drank the soup without saying a word. She did not want to make things difficult for her body. This snow ginseng soup was a very rare tonic and she needed to recover her strength. Only by recovering her body and mind could she think of a better way to escape. Chapter 703. He didn't know that the secret guards on the side were all stunned. They had followed His Highness for many years and knew that His Highness was cold. This was the first time they had seen His Highness patiently feed a girl soup. This kind of wishy-washy matter didn't seem like something that a decisive Wang Ye would do. All of you leave. Without this king's orders, no one is allowed to come close. Chu Xiaoyang waved his hand and all the secret guards left the room. The heavy stone door slowly closed. Chen Ning's heart sank and she coldly said, Why aren't you leaving yet? Why does this king need to leave? He smiled. As he smiled, he began to take off his clothes. He took off the jade belt and casually threw it on the ground. Then he took off his deep purple robe and walked in front of the bed, leaning over to look at her. She closed her eyes tightly, not wanting to look at him. Suddenly she felt a hot body beside her. He actually got on the bed and laid down beside her. He pulled the quilt over her and draped it over his body, sharing the same pillow with her. After waiting for this long, this king has finally waited for this moment to share the same bed with you. He whispered in her ear and his hot breath blew onto her face. Her body became very stiff and she did not move at all. But he did not touch her. Rather he raised his arm to look at her and said with a smile, "Ning, you don't need to be afraid. I promised you that unless you beg me, I will not touch you." She still did not say a word and her long eyelashes slightly trembled. "Alright, it's too late. Let's go to sleep." Chu Xiaoyang flicked his finger and a gust of wind flew out. The candle in front of the bed was extinguished and the room was instantly filled with darkness. Her heart jumped into her throat again and she was so nervous that her breathing stopped. Chu Xiaoyang really kept his word. Although they were lying on the same bed, this bed was very big. He was lying on the outside, not even touching the corner of her clothes. After a while, she heard his shallow breathing become very even. He did not move as he laid beside her, as if he had fallen asleep. Chen Ning did not know if he was really sleeping or pretending to be asleep. He did not take advantage of her, which was out of her expectations, but she understood Chu Xiaoyang. He was a wild beast that could explode at any time. He would not let her go so easily. The darkness was very quiet, so quiet that she could hear her own heartbeat. She suddenly found that her hands were free. She did not know if he had forgotten or neglected it, but he did not chain her hands. But so what if it was like this? Her feet were still chained to the bed, so it was impossible for her to escape. She lay quietly in the darkness for a while. Suddenly she felt a strange feeling in her body. It was as if there was a fire slowly burning in her body. It was hot. Chapter 704. She didn't know if Chu Xiaoyang was asleep or if he didn't hear her, but he laid there without moving at all. "Chu Xiaoyang, help me get a cup of water." She gritted her teeth and pushed his shoulder. Her hand was quickly grabbed by a large hand. What did you say?" Chu Xiaoyang's lazy voice sounded in the darkness, just like a cat that had just woken up. "Water, I want to drink water." Her voice was so hoarse that she couldn't speak. Her body felt like it was about to explode. "Beg me. As long as you beg me, I'll give you water," he slowly said as he sat up. He lit the candle on the bed and his eyes glowed as he looked at her without blinking. Her face was very red, just like a peach blossom blooming in March. Her breathing was very fast, but her breath was like orchids. Beads of sweat appeared on her forehead, just like crystal dewdrops. His appreciative eyes lingered on her body. No matter what time it was, she was always this beautiful. He couldn't get enough of looking at her. "Chu Xiaoyang, you." She stared at him and suddenly understood. "Ginseng soup, what did you put in the ginseng soup?" "Ginseng soup?" He innocently shrugged his shoulders and slowly said, "This king found something from Miss Chen's side. It was the good thing she put in the wine. This king felt that the taste wasn't bad, so he had someone put it in the ginseng soup. I'll give it to you to have a taste. It's not bad, right?" Under the candlelight, he revealed an innocent smile. Chen Ning forcefully bit her lips until she tasted blood. Her whole body was trembling violently. That strange and unfamiliar feeling was like a tide, almost drowning her reason, and she almost begged out loud. "No, don't beg him. Don't beg him no matter what." She closed her eyes and used her trembling hands to pull the blanket over her, tightly wrapping herself up. This was because her body was covered in sweat and her clothes were already soaked. She did not want him to see her like this. But it was hot, it became hotter and hotter. Her face became redder and her reason slowly left her mind. She used her hands to grab her collar, wanting to rip off her clothes and let her body feel cool. No, she definitely couldn't. She painfully struggled on the bed as the chains under her feet clanked. She bit her lips, but she did not make a single sound. "Why are you being so stubborn? You won't be able to take it sooner or later." Chu Xiaoyang finally gave a sigh. He got off the bed and brought a cup of water to her lips. She immediately drank it all like it was rain, but the thirst in her heart did not disappear at all. She gasped and looked up. She forcefully pushed his hand away from her shoulder. He had a smile on his face as he wiped off the blood from her lips. "Chen Ning," he said with a smile, "this is Chen want to speak. Chen Tiai he shaki, Chen Ni Chen, teet, teet to say that. Teet to teet, Ning, as long as you beg me, I will give you the greatest happiness in this world. Do you want it, N? Say it." As long as you beg me, as long as you say a single word, I'll give it to you. He gently said. Speak, as long as you beg me, as long as you say a single word, I will give it to you, he said gently. Chapter 705. You really don't want it? But I feel that your heart and your body really want it. Ning, when did you learn to say one thing but mean another? His lips curled into a ridiculing smile. He reached out a finger and slowly stroked her soft face. Her face was as hot as fire, but her eyes were filled with stubbornness and unyielding. Chu Xiaoyang, why do you have to humiliate me and torture me like this? If you hate me, why don't you kill me? She said in a hoarse voice. That's right, this king does hate you because you are too dishonest. Chu Xiaoyang's smiling face suddenly turned cold. He pinched her chin and used a lot of force. This king has given you many chances, but you have always rejected this king. This king even kneeled in front of you in front of all the ministers. As long as you gave this king a chance, I would have treated you very, very well. I would have crawled under your feet and abandoned my dignity and pride forever. But you didn't. No matter how this king treats you, your heart is made of stone. This king held his heart in front of you, but you fed this heart to a dog. Tell me, should this king hate you or not? The more he spoke, the more excited he became. A wave of hatred covered his entire body. He gritted his teeth and revealed a smile on his face, but that smile was very cold. That high and mighty man likes you and loves you to the point of going crazy. He is willing to give up the throne for you, but you are this king's woman, so why should he want you? Why should he? This king really wanted to let him see with his own eyes how his most beloved woman would lie under this king's body, begging me for mercy. Ning, I really do like you, but you are too cold and heartless. You have stepped on my pride again and again. I Chu Xiaoyang am a man, not a piece of mud. So the shame you have given me, I want to take it back bit by bit. I want you to kneel in front of me and beg me. Beg me, beg me. He hissed out and forcefully pinched her chin, making her gasp in pain. His eyes were filled with madness, and his handsome face was twisted with agitation. It was an indescribably terrifying sight. No, never. Her chin was in pain from being pinched, but the pain allowed her to maintain a trace of clarity. She stared at him with eyes like an angry little beast. She would never let herself abandon her dignity as a human because of drugs. Never. But the strange feeling in her body was a torture she had never experienced before. Her hands tightly gripped the blanket and her body trembled. She was struggling with her reason and the desire in her heart. Ning, your current appearance is really cute. I like seeing you struggle in pain. You clearly want to die in your heart, but you don't have the courage to admit it. But I'm not in a rush. As long as you need it, I will wait here and wait for you to beg me. Chu Xiaoyang smiled. The more she struggled in pain, the more excited and satisfied he felt. He stood up and slowly took off his clothes. He had already taken off his outer robe, and now he was wearing a snow-white inner robe. He deliberately took off his shirt slowly, revealing his beautiful and straight upper body. His muscles were tight and strong, and the candlelight shone on his smooth skin, like a soft jade emitting a faint glow. Chapter 707. This was because he knew that she wouldn't be able to hold on for long. She was already like dry firewood. As long as he provoked her a bit more, it would ignite into a raging flame. He had taken that medicine before, so he knew how strong the effects were. He grabbed one of her slender hands and pressed it against his chest, letting her soft fingertips touch his skin as he continued to bewitch her last bit of sanity. Touch it and see how strong this heartbeat is. It's beating for you. Ning, as long as you say a single word, it will completely belong to you. Aren't you very thirsty right now? Aren't you yearning for a pair of strong arms to hug you? Aren't you filled with endless passion that you can't find a place to vent? As long as you say, beg me to take you, I will satisfy your wish and let you enjoy the greatest happiness in this world. His voice was like a mountain spring that slowly flowed. Her fingers trembled in his palm, becoming stronger and stronger. He was so close to her, and his manly scent was as intoxicating as a poppy. The last barrier in her heart suddenly collapsed, and her tensed body slowly relaxed like a blooming epiphyllum. The unique charm between her brows made his breathing stagnate. Her left hand was held by him, while her right hand was still holding onto the blanket covering her body. Her reason was making a final struggle against her body's desire, but in front of her large body's desire, her little bit of reason was so pitiful. With a single breath from him, it disappeared into thin air. Ning, aren't you very hot? Your entire body is on fire. Don't cover yourself with this thick blanket, it will only make you hotter and hotter. Her fingers had already lost strength, so he easily pulled off the blanket. Your clothes are all wet. Can I help you take them off? Once you take them off, you'll feel cool and not this hot anymore. She was indeed very hot. The fire that had risen from the bottom of her heart had already melted her. It was as if she was on a volcano, no, in a pot of oil. She was being tormented, steamed, and roasted. She gasped for breath and sweat poured down like rain. She thought that she was definitely going to die. She was going to be burned to death by this fire. She heard a sound like a stream in her ears. It was fresh and cool, but she couldn't hear what the voice was saying. She just instinctively nodded and leaned towards the cool source. Chu Xiaoyang narrowed his eyes in satisfaction as he watched her take the initiative to lean into his embrace. His 10 slender fingers slowly moved as he slowly undid her clothes. Her breath was like orchids, not resisting at all. He slowly leaned over to her, and the tip of his nose touched the tip of her nose. His long eyelashes almost touched her cheeks. Her originally clear eyes were covered in a layer of mist, and she looked at him in a daze. Chapter 708. Why can't you find her? Zhuifeng, where's your dog nose? Why isn't it working this time? Chu Xiaobai brought Zhuifeng and the two of them searched every corner of the King Dingyuan palace, but they still couldn't find her. Seeing time slowly pass, his heart became more and more anxious. A sense of panic and a bad premonition filled his heart and he couldn't help complaining to Zhuifeng. Your Highness, this subordinate is not a dog. Not being able to find her, Zhuifeng was very depressed. Hearing Chu Xiaobai's words, his face instantly turned red. Don't you rely on smelling to find people? If you don't have a dog nose, what is it? You could find her before, so why can't you find her this time? Chu Xiaobai angrily said. Zhuifeng had an awkward expression as he scratched his head. His heart was also filled with confusion. Why was it that after smelling for so long, he couldn't find her scent? That's right, you can't find my third sister-in-law. Try smelling where my third brother is. Chu Xiaobai patted his head and said in an enlightened voice. He found that he was a fool. Wherever his third brother was, she would be there. Zhuifeng immediately thought of this. He once again smelled around the palace while Chu Xiaoyang followed behind him, sending away some of the palace's secret guards. The two of them unknowingly walked into the peach blossom house. At this time, the peach blossoms had already fallen and there were blue fruits on the peach trees. Chu Xiaobai suddenly thought of that night when he met her here and his lips couldn't help curling into a smile. Zhuifeng circled around the bamboo building several times. He knit his brows, feeling puzzled. Strange, I can clearly feel that King Dingyuan is in this small building, but there is no one in the room. He forcefully rubbed his nose and began to suspect that it wasn't working. Chu Xiaobai listened carefully and found that there was no movement in the room at all. No matter, let's go in and take a look. He directly pushed open the bamboo door and walked in. This was Chu Xiaoyang's forbidden area. Normal people were not allowed to enter. This was also Chu Xiaobai's first time entering this small building. With the moonlight coming in from the outside, he and Zhuifeng began to search separately. Zhuifeng floated up to the second floor like a gust of wind, but Chu Xiaobai stayed in the study below and slowly knit his brows. This was a study with bookshelves all around filled with books. He took out one and found it was a military book. He took out another one and found it was also a military book. He never knew that his third brother liked military books this much. Other than books, there were also weapons. There were several blades and swords hanging on the wall as well as short daggers. Each one of them was clean. It was clear that they were all Chu Xiaoyang's treasures. Chapter 709. In the underground stone room, the air was so hot that it could be ignited with a single touch. Chu Xiaoyang's body was covered in flames as beads of sweat rolled down his smooth back. It was very hard for him to endure it, but he was still holding on, waiting for the moment she would beg him. She was clearly about to lose her mind from the drug, but he did not know why, but she did not say a single beg word to him. He had already lost his patience from waiting. Ning, is it that hard to say the word beg? As long as you say a single word, I'll give it to you, Don't say that you don't want me. Touch your own heart, how fast it's beating. Touch your body, it needs my embrace and caress. As long as you say it, just a single word, I'll immediately satisfy you. His lips brushed against her earlobe and he blew on her ear. The ticklish feeling made her whole body tremble, and her snow-white skin turned a light pink. Emochuan. Hug me. She muttered to herself. In her unconsciousness, she had already treated the person in front of her as Emochuan because they had been intimate like this before. His embrace was strong and warm, burning hot, and she just wanted to be tightly hugged by him. It was like a bucket of cold water had been poured over his head, but it did not extinguish the fire in Chu Xiaoyang's heart. Rather, it was like pouring oil on the fire, making him immediately explode. "Open your eyes and see who I am." His eyes were filled with flames and his nose was filled with flames. He viciously grabbed her neck and roared out, "I am Chu Xiaoyang. I am your husband." He panted heavily. He had lost all his patience because of her words. He wasn't going to play this game anymore. He admitted defeat. Even if he lost, he still had to obtain her. He fiercely and wildly pressed her under his body, tearing apart the last barrier on her body. "This is bad, Your Highness, there's a fire, there's a fire." Suddenly, the panicked cries of the secret guards came from outside the stone door. Scram! Chu Xiaoyang was like an arrow on a bow, suddenly being interrupted by someone. He was so angry that he wanted to kill someone. After a short moment of silence, the secret guard's trembling voice rang out again. "Reporting to Your Highness, the Peach Blossom Cove is on fire." The secret guards knew how important the small building in the Peach Blossom Cove was to Chu Xiaoyang, but without His Highness' orders, no one dared to rush in to put out the fire. Although they knew that His Highness was filled with rage, they still dared to report this matter. Otherwise, if the Peach Blossom Cove was burned to the ground, they would not be able to escape the crime. "What? The Peach Blossom Cove is on fire." Chu Xiaoyang was startled as he stood up. He grabbed a robe and quickly put it on, walking out the door with large steps. After taking 2 steps, he suddenly turned around and pulled the quilt over her body. Chapter 7:10. Your Highness. The secret guard beside him was stunned. He quickly took out some ointment and wanted to apply it, but Chu Xiaoyang waved his hand and he was thrown out, slamming into the stone wall. "Even at this time, your heart is still thinking of him. Very good, when this king comes back, I will properly love you for him. This king will torture you until you beg for death." Chu Xiaoyang swore through gritted teeth and left without looking back. He came out of the secret passage and immediately saw the Peach Blossom Cove covered in flames, turning half the sky red. The servants in the palace were all in a panic. They were all gathered outside the Peach Blossom Cove, holding buckets and other things to pour water into the door. But it was like trying to put out a cart of firewood with a cup of water. The peach trees in the yard were all on fire and the fire was very strong. How could several dozen buckets of water be enough to extinguish it? Chu Xiaoyang was most worried about the bamboo building in the peach blossom forest. That building was filled with his treasured items and each one was his heart. Those treasured blades, those military books that he had searched the world for. Everyone rushed in to put out the fire for this king. If even one thing is missing from the bamboo building, this king will take your lives. In the midst of the noise, Chu Xiaoyang circulated his internal energy to send his voice far away, entering everyone's ears. Receiving His Highness' order, the servants all charged into the Peach Blossom Cove, desperately putting out the fire. Chu Xiaoyang took the 2 buckets of water from the guards and flew into the garden, heading straight for the bamboo building. When he arrived in front of the bamboo building, he couldn't help being stunned. He saw that the fire had started from the peach blossom forest 3 meters away. Although the entire bamboo building was engulfed in flames, the fire had not reached it yet, not even a single tile had caught fire. Chu Xiaoyang had thought that the fire had started from the bamboo building and then spread outwards, but who would have thought that this was not the case at all? He was stunned for a second before feeling that something was wrong. This fire was too strange. The peach blossom forest outside was currently in spring, with lush greenery and verdant grass, so how could there be a fire for no reason? It was clear that someone was purposely setting the fire. His chest filled with anger and he raised his foot to kick away a servant that had charged forward to put out the fire. That servant gave a pitiful cry as he flew through the air before falling to the ground. His bones were broken from the fall and he couldn't get up for a while. The people that wanted to put out the fire were all filled with fear. They held their buckets and stood there, not knowing if they should put out the fire or run away. "Bastard! Are you all dead?" This fire was set by someone. What use is there for this prince to raise useless people like you? You can't even keep an eye on a petty thief. You actually let people rush into this prince's mansion and set it on fire. You all find him for this king immediately. We must catch the culprit who set the fire and dismember him. Chu Xiaoyang angrily roared out. The guards and servants were immediately thrown into chaos. Some were busy putting out the fire, while others were busy searching the area. Chu Xiaoyang stood in front of the bamboo building with a pale face and a throbbing pain in his head. Under everyone's desperate efforts, the fire finally began to die down. A secret guard came forward to report. Reporting to Your Highness, this fire was set by someone on purpose. This subordinate found this in the Peach Blossom Cove. That person kneeled on the ground and took out a wooden bucket. When Chu Xiaoyang smelled it, his face became even uglier. Chapter 7:13. Then he pulled her other hand. Seeing that all her fingers were intact, Chu Xiaobai let out a long sigh of relief. It was a good thing the one injured was not her. Your Highness, this is bad, someone has come in. Hearing the footsteps, it should be King Ding Yuan. Zhui Feng, who was guarding the door, suddenly came into the stone room and spoke with an anxious expression. He saw Chu Xiaobai kneeling in front of the bed and pulling her hands from under the blanket, looking up and down and touching them. He was instantly so angry that his nose became crooked. Chu Xiaobai, what are you doing? Do you know who she is? He angrily charged forward and slapped Chu Xiaobai's hand away. Of course I know who she is. What do you think I'm doing? I'm not taking advantage of her, I'm just worried that she's injured. Chu Xiaobai lowered his voice and stared at him. Nonsense. Do you think that Zhui Feng's eyes are blind? You're clearly taking advantage of her. Zhui Feng's words came to an abrupt stop. He suddenly noticed the blood and broken fingers on the ground and began to stammer. This. Whose fingers are these? It wouldn't be the princess. Right? Of course not. Luckily it's not. Chu Xiaobai also heard the approaching footsteps and his expression became anxious. This is bad, my third brother is back. We can't leave in time, what do we do? Zhui Feng did not know what to do. He gritted his teeth and said, how about we fight him? This subordinate doesn't believe that the two of us can't beat him. Stupid. We're in the wrong for this matter, how can we fall out with him? Chu Xiaobai stared at Zhui Feng, thinking that he was really muddle-headed. He actually asked Zhui Feng, that blockhead, what to do. He did not have time to think about it as he wrapped Chen Ning in the blanket. He wanted to carry her away, but he suddenly heard the sound of chains clanking against each other, making him instantly shocked. He looked down and his eyes turned red because he saw that there were 2 chains around her ankles. There were also 2 chains around the head of the bed. So third brother had actually locked her here. Just like a criminal. Chu Xiaobai was filled with rage as he gritted his teeth. He wanted to charge out and beat Chu Xiaoyang up. When Zhui Feng saw this situation he was angry and furious, but he didn't have time to think. He took out his dagger and used his internal strength to cut off her ankles. Chu Xiaobai held her in his arms and then rolled off the bed. His entire body was already under the bed as he said in a low voice, Zhui Feng, quickly come in. Zhui Feng was stunned for a second before shaking his head and saying, this subordinate does not like hiding under the bed. He was the emperor's best hidden guard, so he was proficient in hiding. If he found a place to hide, Chu Xiaoyang would not be able to find him. Chu Xiaobai heard that Chu Xiaoyang's footsteps were already in front of the stone door, so he did not dare make a single sound. The thick curtains in front of the bed hung down, blocking all the light outside. If he had not deliberately lifted the curtains to look under the bed, he would not have noticed them. In the darkness, Chu Xiaobai couldn't see Chen Ning's face. He could only feel her rapid breathing on his neck, bringing with it a sweet scent. It was a really nice smell, almost making him drunk. But he immediately realized that something was wrong. His third brother's internal strength was very strong, he couldn't let him hear her breathing no matter what, otherwise he would be able to guess that they were hiding in the stone room. Chapter 7:14. Chu Xiaoyang did not notice that they were hiding under the bed. When he saw that Chen Ning had disappeared from the bed, his first thought was that she had been taken away by someone. He did not think that she was actually still in the stone room, so he angrily chased after her. When Chu Xiaoyang's footsteps went far away and could no longer be heard, Zhui Feng came out from the darkness and called out to the bed in a soft voice. Your Highness, he's gone. Let's quickly leave. The bed curtains were lifted and Chu Xiaobai came out holding Chen Ning. His clothes were slightly wrinkled and his handsome face was completely red. Zhui Feng couldn't help feeling suspicious seeing this. Your Highness, why is your face red? He was straightforward and could not hide the words in his heart, so he directly asked. Wu hot. There's no ventilation in here, it's just too hot. Chu Xiaobai's face was red as he stuttered. He couldn't help raising the back of his hand to wipe his face. But after wiping it, his face became even redder. Hot? But why doesn't this subordinate feel hot? Zhui Feng was even more suspicious. You blockhead, how would you know what's hot or cold? Don't waste words, let's quickly leave this place. Chu Xiaobai held Chen Ning and quickly walked out of the stone door. Zhui Feng was filled with questions, but he could only keep them in his heart as he followed behind Chu Xiaobai. The two of them left the secret passage and came to the fake mountain in the garden. Hearing Chu Xiaoyang angrily giving out orders to find someone, the two of them couldn't help secretly smiling. The cool night wind blew on his cheeks and Chu Xiaobai felt the heat on his cheeks slowly recede. However, the young man's heart was still beating wildly. A kind of mysterious joy began to spread in his heart. This was a secret that he could not tell anyone, a secret that he would always bury in his heart, a secret that he would never share with anyone. Under the dark bed, when he heard Chu Xiaoyang leave the stone room, he could feel that she could no longer hold her breath. The body wrapped in the blanket was struggling in his arms, so he quickly let go of her nose. She took a few breaths before reaching out in a daze. She wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed his face. In the darkness, Chu Xiaobai felt a soft and hot thing touch his cheek and he was instantly stunned. He held her in a daze, not reacting at all like a statue at all. After a long time, when Zhui Feng's voice came from outside, he came back to his senses and realized what had touched his cheek. It was her lips, soft and warm. His cheek still had the sweet smell of her lips. His heart softened into a pool of warm water. It was as if he could hear the sound of flowers blooming, and his face became even hotter. In the dark under the bed, he suddenly became a garden in heaven. He really wanted to hold her like this and stay here for the rest of his life. Chapter 7:15. Alright, we'll do as you say. Chu Xiaobai nodded. Zhui Feng was prepared to jump out, but he suddenly stopped. He looked at Chu Xiaobai and said, "Your Highness, please let this subordinate use this blanket." Chu Xiaobai was stunned. He tightly hugged her in his embrace and vigilantly said, "What do you want to do?" Her clothes were not covering her body in his embrace and she was relying on this blanket to cover her. This stinky brat, did he want to see her body? "Your Highness, this subordinate wants to make a false impression and make people think that the princess consort has been taken away by this subordinate. What does your Highness think this subordinate wants to do?" Zhui Feng felt Chu Xiaobai's hostility and scratched his head in confusion. Chu Xiaobai was stunned. He knew that he had misunderstood Zhui Feng's meaning, but give him the blanket? Absolutely not. His eyes turned and he took off his white robe. He raised his right hand and cut off a piece of rock. Then he wrapped the robe around the rock and threw it into Zhui Feng's embrace. "Just use this. Your Highness, this. Isn't it too heavy?" Zhui Feng held the heavy rock in his embrace and couldn't help being stunned. His Highness really knew how to make things difficult for him. If he held this burden, his qinggong would be greatly reduced and he might be caught by King Ding Yuan. "Your qinggong is #1 in the world. Even if you hold this rock, my third brother won't be able to catch you." Chu Xiaobai gave Zhui Feng a compliment without anyone noticing. Zhui Feng was instantly filled with excitement as he revealed a smile. "Your Highness, qinggong is also very good. Although it's a bit worse than this subordinate's, you can still be considered a top expert." Chu Xiaobai stomped his foot. "Why aren't you going?" "Yes, this subordinate will follow your orders." Zhui Feng received Chu Xiaobai's praise and his body felt light as he held the large rock as he jumped out of the cave. He purposely revealed himself in front of the guards, causing them to yell loudly. "He's here. Your Highness. The thief is escaping." Zhui Feng used his qinggong and gently jumped onto the roof. Although he was holding a large rock, he was still as light as a swallow. When Chu Xiaobai saw this, he couldn't help secretly admiring him. There were many people in the courtyard holding torches, making the night look like it was daytime. Zhui Feng's movement technique was fast, but it was still noticed by the guards. "Your Highness, he's on the roof." Everyone began to shout out. The guards moved ladders and built a human wall because they did not have Zhui Feng's qinggong, so no one could jump up. A purple figure flashed and also jumped onto the roof. That person was Chu Xiaoyang. Zhui Feng couldn't help grinning. Seeing that he had attracted his target, he ran away. Chu Xiaoyang saw that he was holding something in his arms that looked like a person. Chapter 7:16. Little thief, let go of this king's princess and this king will spare you from death. Chu Xiaoyang could see that the other side was weak, so he cursed through gritted teeth. Zhui Feng's heart filled with joy. He thought that this King Ding Yuan was truly blind, actually thinking that the stone in his arms was the princess consort. His eyes turned and he already had an idea. Seeing that there was a mirror-like lake in front of him, he jumped off the roof and ran towards the little mirror lake. Chu Xiaoyang followed closely behind. Zhui Feng ran to the side of the lake and suddenly threw the stone in his arms into the lake. He shouted, "All right, give your princess back." With a putong sound, the water splashed in all directions. The stone fell into the lake and sank down. Ning, Chu Xiaoyang gave a heart-piercing cry. Without even thinking, he jumped into the dark lake. He fell into the ripples of the lake and reached out to grab something. He felt a corner of his clothes and his heart filled with joy. He forcefully pulled it into his chest and felt as light as a feather. Gulu gulu. He didn't know how to swim, so he drank several mouthfuls of water, but his hand still tightly held onto the corner of his clothes. His Highness has fallen into the water. Quickly save His Highness. The guards that came after began to shout out as they all jumped into the lake like dumplings. Everyone began to fish and soon they brought Chu Xiaoyang ashore with a belly full of water. Save her, quickly save her. Chu Xiaoyang pointed at the lake and said while gasping for breath. The guards looked at each other in blank dismay, not knowing what His Highness wanted them to save. They had fished for a while in the lake, but they had only fished out a single Chu Xiaoyang. Are you all deaf? This king wants you to go down and save her. If anything happens to the princess, this king will turn you all into mincemeat. Chu Xiaoyang angrily said. With a kick he sent a wet guard into the lake. When the guards heard that the princess was still in the lake, they did not dare hesitate and they all jumped into the lake. The lake was completely dark and they couldn't see their fingers in front of them, so they could only close their eyes and search. We found the princess consort. We found the princess consort. One of the guards felt a leg and immediately grabbed it, dragging it towards the shore of the lake. Chu Xiaoyang was filled with joy. He stood up and looked into the lake. He heard a splash in the lake and a guard's head popped out. He spat out a mouthful of water and shouted, "What princess consort, you're grabbing my leg?" "Oh, sorry." The guard from before quickly let go. He was afraid that Chu Xiaoyang would scold him and jumped back into the water. "Bastard. Waste." Chu Xiaoyang angrily cursed out, wishing he could cut off the heads of these guards. Zhui Feng, who was hiding in the willow tree on the shore, couldn't help laughing. His heart was thinking, go ahead and fish. Even if you fish until dawn, you won't be able to find the princess consort. At most, you'll be able to find a large stone wrapped in clothes. He looked at the angry Chu Xiaoyang with schadenfreude and curled his lips. He used his qinggong and silently left, not being discovered by a single person. Chu Xiaoyang stood on the shore. The guards had searched the lake for an entire night, but they didn't find anything. The guards were all frozen and their bodies were trembling. But if they couldn't find the princess consort, no one dared to come ashore. Even when the sky was bright, the guards were still struggling in the lake. Chu Xiaoyang's heart had already turned cold and his face was filled with despair. Chapter 717. But he could not fish, he could not fish. He had to see her alive and dead. He had to see her. His heart was filled with regret. Why did he have to drug her? Why did he have to force her? Didn't he promise to treat her well? Why did he disregard her wishes time and time again and do things that she could not accept? She knew how to swim. If it wasn't for the drug making her lose her mind, she would not have drowned at the bottom of the lake. It was him who harmed her. It was him, it was him, it was him. There was a strong cry in his heart, as if there was a knife twisting in his heart, making him feel so much pain that he wanted to die. Chu Xiaoyang looked at the ice-cold lake in a daze and slowly walked over. The lake water covered his boots, his knees, his waist, and his neck. He walked step by step into the depths of the lake. She was dead, she was killed by him. What meaning was there in living in this world? It would be better if he followed her. Perhaps she had not gone far on the road to the underworld and he could still catch up to her. Otherwise she would be lonely by herself. With him by her side she would not be afraid, right? Perhaps if she saw him leave with her, she wouldn't blame or resent him anymore, right? At the bottom of his heart, there was a faint hope and joy. She did not choose him in this life, so in the next life, he would fight to find her before anyone else. After he found her, he would never let go, and he would never give anyone the chance to steal her heart away from him. The lake water covered his nose and ears and began to fill his lungs. It was very uncomfortable, but he still had a smile on his face. Ning, I'm coming to accompany you. Walk slowly and wait for me. He silently said this in his heart. He opened his arms and threw himself into the deep embrace of the lake. Your Highness, don't. Your Highness, quickly save your Highness. The guards did not know what His Highness wanted to do before, but when he was completely submerged in the lake, everyone realized that His Highness wanted to drown himself in the lake. Everyone was scared out of their wits. They threw themselves forward, pulling his legs and hugging his waist, bringing Chu Xiaoyang back to the shore. Chu Xiaoyang was lying on the shore facing the sky. The sunlight shined through the clouds and onto his body, but he could not feel the slightest bit of warmth, only a bone-chilling cold. He closed his eyes. 2 streams of tears rolled down from the corners of his eyes and into his wet, black hair. He clenched the corner of her clothes in his hand. This was the last thing she had left him. Suddenly he opened his eyes, feeling that something was wrong. He brought the corner of his robe to his eyes and carefully looked at it. It was a piece of fine white snow satin. The silk was dense and woven with dark patterns of bamboo. Chapter 7:18. Chu Xiaoyang was filled with rage. He was filled with rage and his eyes turned red. Chu Xiaobai, it's you, it must be you. This king knows that this matter must have been done by you. You are the only one who has this snow satin, there isn't a second person in the entire capital that has it. Chu Xiaobai, good, you're really good. He was furious to the extreme. His handsome face became twisted and sinister, and his whole body was trembling. Suddenly, his anger turned into fear, a deep fear that came from the bottom of his heart. She had been drugged. Moreover, the drug would become stronger and stronger. When he left her, she was already unconscious and had even mistaken him for Mo Chuan. Now that she was in Chu Xiaobai's hands, what would happen between the two of them? He did not even dare think about it. She was this charming and she had been stripped down to her underwear. When Chu Xiaobai saw her jade-like body, how could the hot-blooded young man hold himself back? This was equivalent to personally sending her into Chu Xiaobai's embrace. Chu Xiaoyang almost vomited blood. Someone gather all the guards for this king. We're going to King Jing-en's palace and bring back this king's princess. He loudly ordered. But thinking about it, what if Chu Xiaobai did not bring her back to the palace and instead brought her to a place that no one knew about? What would he do then? Chu Xiaobai, if you dare touch a single finger of this king's woman, this king will cut you piece by piece. His eyes turned blood red and he almost spat out blood. Chu Xiaobai carried Chen Ning out of the palace. He ran through the darkness and for a while he did not know where to go. Should he bring her back to his palace? No. This was because he knew that he could not hide the fact that he had taken her away for long. He had left the snow satin robe behind, which was equivalent to telling Chu Xiaoyang that he was the one who did it. So the first place Chu Xiaoyang would look for was his King Jing-en palace. Send her back to the eldest princess palace? No. If he couldn't find her in his palace, Chu Xiaoyang would definitely go to the eldest princess palace. The guards in the eldest princess palace could not stop Chu Xiaoyang at all. Should he send her to the palace? Send her to the emperor's side? That's not right either. The palace was filled with Empress Dowager Zhou's eyes and ears. If Empress Dowager Zhou knew that she personally sent her to the emperor's side, she would never forgive herself in this lifetime. Although Empress Dowager Zhou was not his blood-related grandmother, she had always treated him very well. In Chu Xiaobai's heart, Empress Dowager Zhou was his closest relative and he didn't want Empress Dowager Zhou to be sad. After thinking about it, Chu Xiaobai finally thought of the best place to go because he felt that something was wrong with her. It wasn't just a little off, it was extremely off. When he was in the stone room, he only took a quick glance and didn't dare to take a closer look. He only checked that she wasn't injured and then carried her away. But on the way here, even though there was a layer of blankets between them, he could still feel the heat of her body. She reached out 2 orchid-like arms from the blankets and tightly wrapped them around his neck. He originally thought she was afraid, but now he found that her body temperature was shockingly hot. Moreover, her fiery cheeks were stuck to his face, making him want to hide, but he couldn't bear to hide, but he had no choice. Ning, what's wrong? Are you very hot? Don't be like this. Chapter 7:19. Mo Chuan, hug me. Forcefully hug me. Kiss me, I want you to kiss me. Her arms wrapped around him again and her voice was like water, filled with an indescribable allure. Chu Xiaobai's face turned red. He had never heard her use this kind of charming voice before, it was simply too sweet. His hand trembled and he almost fell off. He quickly recovered his mind and forcefully hugged her. In a low voice he said, Ning, wake up. I am Xiaobai, not the emperor. The faint starlight shined on her face and he saw her red cheeks. She was panting and her watery eyes were half closed, looking at him with a loving smile that was very charming. Chu Xiaobai's heart was filled with confusion. He looked at her in a daze, unable to move his eyes away. Qin Ning's eyes were blurred and she couldn't tell who the person in front of her was. Chu Xiaobai's dark eyes were the same as Emo Chuan's when he looked at her. Emo Chuan, why aren't you kissing me? Didn't you say that as long as I want it, you'll give it to me? I want you to kiss me. She pouted in dissatisfaction. That bright red lips made his heart beat faster. Ning, what happened to you? How did you become like this? Were you drugged by third brother? Chu Xiaobai looked at her and muttered in a low voice. His impression of her was that she had a clear and intelligent appearance that made his heart beat faster. He never thought that when she seduced someone, it would be like this. Although his heart was beating like it was going to jump out of his chest, he did not take this chance to take advantage of her. Even if he knew that if he kissed her now she would not know and there would not be a third person who would notice, but he still controlled his heart and did not kiss her lips. Emo Chuan, I'm uncomfortable, I'm very uncomfortable. If you kiss me, I won't feel this uncomfortable anymore. She began to painfully tear at the blanket covering her body as she gasped for breath. Ning, don't move. I'll immediately send you to see a doctor. The doctor will definitely be able to cure you, definitely. Chu Xiaobai thought of how his third brother had drugged her and he couldn't help being angry. However, when he looked down at her current appearance, he couldn't help feeling pity and pain. He couldn't help lowering his head and placing a light kiss on her forehead. Then he stroked her soft hair and said in a soft voice, Ning, you won't feel this uncomfortable very soon, believe me. As soon as he finished speaking, his finger had already pressed on her sleeping acupuncture point, and then he wiped the beads of sweat from her forehead. So close. If he didn't seal her acupuncture point and let her continue like this, he wouldn't be able to control. She slowly closed her eyes and fell into a deep sleep. However, even though her acupuncture points were sealed and she was unable to move, her eyebrows were still tightly knitted together. She bit her lips so hard that it almost drew blood. He placed his finger on her lips and had her forcefully bite it. The pain was far away, but it was very painful, but it... Ning Chong. After determining the direction, he decided on a path and used his qing gong to quickly leave. Dr. Zhang, quickly wake up, wake up. Dr. Zhang was in a daze from his sleep when he suddenly felt someone forcefully shaking his shoulder and a familiar voice loudly saying this. Chapter 720. Good man, spare me. Spare me. As long as you spare this old man's life, you can take whatever you want. The money is in the drawer of the third cabinet and the key is under this old man's pillow. Dr. Zhang closed his eyes and trembled as he muttered. Who wants your money? Who wants your life? Dr. Zhang, I'm Chu Xiaobai, quickly help this king cure her. Chu Xiaobai was angry and anxious. He grabbed Dr. Zhang's shoulder and shook him again, making Dr. Zhang feel even more dizzy. Stop shaking, stop shaking. You're making this old man dizzy, how can this old man treat a patient? Dr. Zhang rubbed his blurred eyes and finally saw the person in front of him. So it's your Highness King Jing'an. You've come to this old man's bed in the middle of the night, are you trying to scare this old man to death? He got up and put on his clothes while calmly asking, who is sick? It's the princess. Chu Xiaobai gritted his teeth and stared at him. Dr. Zhang, can you hurry up, this is a matter of life. He saw that her face was becoming redder and redder, like it was about to drip blood. His heart was filled with worry. Princess consort? Dr. Zhang was shocked. He quickly pointed at the room outside and said, Your Highness, don't panic. Place her in the quiet room outside and this old man will immediately come. Chu Xiaobai carried Qin Ning into the quiet room and placed her on the bed, looking at her with a face of worry. Dr. Zhang quickly came over. When he saw her red face in pain, he was shocked and quickly took her pulse. Chu Xiaobai's eyes tightly stared at Dr. Zhang, looking at his expression. His heart was filled with anxiety. Dr. Zhang was the doctor with the best skills in the hospital. If he couldn't cure Ning'er's illness, he really didn't know who else could. Unless it was the #1 divine doctor in the world. But distant water couldn't cure a present thirst. That divine doctor was thousands of miles away and he was afraid that Ning'er wouldn't be able to last until then. This was because he had sealed her acupuncture point, perhaps it would cause the effects of the medicine to increase, but he had no other choice. If he didn't seal her acupuncture point and let her hug and kiss him, he was a man who deeply loved her. If she wanted him to sit still, he couldn't do it. Dr. Zhang, how is she? Can she be cured? Say something. Chu Xiaobai waited for a while and Dr. Zhang didn't say anything, finally he couldn't help urging him. He was about to die from anxiety, but this old imperial physician still had a lukewarm appearance and did not even let out a fart. This old doctor still had a calm expression and did not say anything, not saying a word. He looked up at Chu Xiaobai with a strange expression. With a cough he slowly said, "Your Highness King Jing'an, don't worry. Actually the princess consort is not sick." Not sick? Would she feel this bad if she's not sick? Look, she has bitten her lips. Dr. Zhang, this king knows that your medical skills are the best. You have to save her. Coo. Dr. Zhang gave a few more coughs. The princess consort became like this because she took a strong medicine. For this medicine there is only one antidote. What antidote? Quickly take it out and save her. Chu Xiaobai's heart filled with joy as he immediately grabbed the old doctor's wrist. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.